Velati. The long road leading
Ha.
west out of Shepherd's End has taken you past the forests that used to be ripe with danger, the threat of the Ornakus. But now only provides a pleasant road and a small camp before it leads you to the Temple of the Maiden Thrice. There are the tall grasses and blooms of winter crops coming in well. Standing on the hilltop, you see the white, puffy shapes of the llamas wandering the field. You see bowing their heads, grazing, jumping, flying. But as you begin to approach the big, round, bulbous form of the scarred sheep, begin to approach, eyeing you warily.
Shalati looks towards Aurea, who had accompanied them on this trip to the temple the first time, and nods to, says, "Don't let us keep you. We'll take care of this first, I think, while they're still fresh." And then she looks at Ash and Yev and says, "I think we had maybe better see if... It looks like the sheep might be leading them. Perhaps if we get control of them, or if they remember us, the llamas will follow. Because the llamas don't look like any of their flock, right? They look like they were wild."
There is one llama, Snowball, that once belonged to the herd of Shepherd's End. It escaped during a mysterious mishap some years ago. It seems to have turned up here at the temple, having mated with a wild llama. And they're a small little herd running around. The sheep, Deathmaker, and Savagery were raised by your grandfather and have a reputation as being particularly ornery. They alone seem to have survived the attack on Shepherd's End.
I honestly don't think either of them are good-tempered. Find the most mean. Show it who's boss.
Generally, if the leader can... I think that's right. If we can find the leader, and the others may be more willing to follow. They're herd animals and they do not like to be alone. But she's going to try and figure out which one of them seems to be leading the flock.
Observing for a little while. Roll from the distance that you're at right now. Just roll animal handling.
Yeah, that is a cool 8.
Yeah, from this distance, it's hard to tell without maybe getting closer or threatening the flock. It's a little hard to judge.
She sighs. Says, "I cannot really tell from here. Also, they're just grazing. There's nothing happening. But maybe if they see danger, it will become more obvious." Yes, on my left and Yev on my right. Come up behind me a little bit and let's surround them a little. I'll approach the one who I think might be likeliest. It'll probably be one of the sheep. And she shakes out net in one hand and keeps the other hand free. And is going to start walking toward the flock.
And your younger brother, Yev, says, "Oh, okay, I'll go around to the side. I'll keep an eye out. Well, that one's big." You see Ash more quietly circling around to the right side, apprehensively glancing around.
So yeah, she's gonna start walking toward them until they notice her and start to make signs of like nervousness or moving away, see which one steps forward.
Yeah, as you get a bit closer, a couple of them lift their heads up and look that direction. And it's Savagery, the old, larger, scarred, muscly sheep, begins to approach.
Hey, Savitri. I don't know if you remember me. I think old man. What was his name again?
Your
The candy
minotaur.
grandfather. Oh, Lycos. I
I
think.
guess, yeah.
I think. Yeah, Mr. Lycos dealt with you mostly, but she looks to the left. I guess she doesn't look very much like her like her grandfather, does she? Well, no helping it. And she's going to, as talking all the while, she's gonna keep moving forward, and ready to like leap on him if he looks like he's gonna bolt.
Yeah, Savagery has moved to interpose himself between you and all the llamas, and he's standing straight-legged. There's so much wool on him at this point that you can see grooves and ravines of scars kind of in the wool. There's so much muscle and fat beneath that looks like his legs are just little twigs that hold up this enormous body. But as you approach, there's a snort from the sheep, and he stomps his front hooves on the ground a few times.
She keeps advancing, shakes her head, and says, "Don't think that would work on me. I've fought something bigger than you. Scared it off." She's gonna try and get close enough to basically just grab him by the horns, literally.
Yeah, there's another stomp of his feet. And then when you're still probably 15 feet away or so, he charges right toward you.
She's been preparing for this, so I think she will try to basically brace herself, sets her stance wide, lowers herself, and well, actually no, she's gonna wait until the last minute, step aside slightly, but will reach out to grab his horns and like try and use the momentum to push him down to the ground.
To make a strength or
I guess mechanically as
dexterity.
a grapple, but yeah.
Strength or dexterity saving throw, your choice.
If I use dexterity, can I use my advantage?
Yes.
It's a 16.
Yeah, he charges right towards you. You grab the horns, twists, and his big, round, bulbous body goes rolling several feet across the ground. Are you letting him roll by, or you're holding on?
No, she's gonna try and hold on, and I think we'll try to truss him up.
All right. He is fighting, trying to spin over, trying to get back up on his feet. He's quite strong. Go ahead and roll, if you're holding on, trying to truss him up. You can choose either animal handling or make an unarmed attack.
They're mostly the same, so... Ooh, okay.
Yeah, you get a hold, you start to wrap him up just like you would any of their sheep, but he's just so strong. He lifts himself up, sends you flying. Roll a dexterity saving throw to stay on your feet. Ooh,
It's 25.
25, yeah. You manage to roll across the shoulder, get right up on your feet, and you see Yev moving in from the side with some ropes in hand. Moves, and he makes a throw. You see some of the ropes get around one of the back legs of Savagery.
Nice, she calls, and is going to try and make a throw with the net, I guess.
All right. Good attack.
Oh, come on.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I guess I'll use my inspiration on this.
Okay.
Reroll. Okay. Oh, ignore the bless. I accidentally had that clicked, so it was a 17.
I would have blessed you.
for the fierce battle upcoming.
Before I skedoodle, I'm just like, may the maiden be with you.
All right, yeah, you manage to throw the net. It's a good throw. It covers over Savagery, but he begins to spin, and you see pulls onto Yev and jerks Yev off of his feet. Yev comes flying towards you. Make another dexterity save.
Ending.
Manage to get just out of the way in time as Yev goes flying right over you, smashes into Ash, and the both of them go tumbling. He drops his end of the rope. Savagery still tied up in the net, but now Yev's rope is loose, and Savagery fixes eyes onto you. Starts to pull on the rope.
She intends to. Well, he's restrained, so he can't move just yet, I would assume. So she's going to try and pounce on him and get that rope that's dangling loose and wrap it around his legs.
Okay. Again, you can choose. This time it'll be an ability check, athletics or acrobatics, your choice.
Okay. It'll be athletics. It's going to be a 14. Wow, my rolls have been dog shit. Except for my saves.
Yeah. You start to get the rope wrapped around, but again, Savagery begins to spin. He spins so fast, it jerks it free from your hand and sends you tumbling across the grass.
I think she's beginning to lose her patience. So she gets up and cracks her neck and says, "All right, Savagery, fun time is over. You've had your chance to be out on the hills, but now we need you and your ability to protect things under the wing of the village." She's gonna rage.
All right.
And we'll attempt to grab him again and wrestle him down.
Okay. Give it another roll.
Okay, that's a 23.
23, yeah. You grab hold of the horns, and you've still got him in the net. You begin to wrestle him down. You manage to get one of his knees down on the ground. He starts to buckle, but then you see there's a fire in his eyes. Savagery begins to rage. He struggles anew against you. Make a strength, this time, you try strength or dexterity saving throw one more time.
That's an 18.
18. Yeah, it's perhaps one of the most grueling physical encounters you've ever had as the two of you move back and forth through the field, tearing up bits of wheat and winter vegetables. But after a moment more, Savagery hits the ground. Bits of winter crops bursting up around him. There's a snort. He kicks his legs a few times, then goes still.
She holds him down, pins him down with the hands on the rope around his neck and down to the ground for a moment, and then looks down at him and grabs a handful of some of the clover that's growing nearby, and offers it to him.
Huff, snort, and then starts to eat it.
See? It's not so bad, is it? Just gonna slowly let him up and see if he starts to run or anything.
You see Yev and Ash picking themselves up, dusting them off, and starting to walk nearby. Savagery snorts again, and kind of gets up. Seems a little more... seems a little dejected, but calmer.
She's gonna check on the state of the rest of the herd that he's amassed around him. If they've scattered completely, or if they're kind of watching.
Yeah, no, they're watching from a distance. You can see a row of heads poked up from the wheat.
I think she's gonna make a show of petting Savagery and feeding him, and then we'll tell the others. See if you can start walking them And she jerks her head toward the audience, toward us. And I'll try leading him toward the temple, and maybe they'll have a room, or we can put them in the courtyard.
Yeah, and you have an Ash begin to move off that direction. And before the end of the day, you've brought the herd back under control. Nicely done.
I think her general plan from then was to probably bring them back to Shepherd's End, because there's more people there, and there's like weavers and whatnot who can actually make use of the wool and milk. So.
Are you taking them back to like Cadney Ranch?
Cadney Ranch is kind of far. It might be more like if there's a place that had like a chicken pen or something, or like a few sheds of goats that are now probably dead. If there's a house on the outskirts of the village, that might be closer.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Because there's not a lot of them, right? So I don't think they need the entire ranch.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Let's see. And back in kind of the present, there's still, I think we're probably in the 39th day of autumn now. And for some context, I think it's on the 52nd day that Kabeth will be finished with the shield, and Esmond will be finished with what he's working on. So there's still some time left before everyone's ready to like be all done and wrapped up. However, at the hearth of Shepherd's End, there's a flock of moms. And bird girl, Muna, pretty-eyed girl, whatever she may be, is swarmed upon. Now she's bound in skirts, and in her feathers, there are ribbons, and her thick kind of reptilian tail. There's a big puffy bow right on the end. She's shown through the tavern, and where food can be had. She's shown around all the pleasant parts of the town, all the places with the best views, the docks where she can see the sea. We see her being shown how to eat with a fork. We see her how to learn how to drink out of a cup without spilling it all over the ground. Within the first few hours, she's walking with relative ease. A few hours more, she's learning to run. She's developing with speed much faster than any of that of like a humanoid child would seem to. Before too long, her capabilities are growing quite quickly. She's absorbing knowledge, drinking it all in, learning what the town looks like in the faces of different people. Her mastery of language is slow to grow, but she is able to pick up the words that people use before too long. Even the next day is using single words to communicate pretty accurately. Over the next days, everyone who wants to has an opportunity to, of course, spend some time with her and teach her a little bit. World. Yeah, I'd love to have a little look at maybe what each of you kind of does in your moments of teaching pretty-eyed girl how to be a person. Wants to go first?
I can. Pretty quickly on discovering her hangriness, Araya gently guides. What is pretty egg girl's common name? Was Murrow?
Cyphered suggested that it should be called Muna.
Muna. She takes pretty egg girl Muna by the arm, kind of arm in arm, and leads her to a small copse of trees that is close to the village, but kind of private and secluded. And gently sits her down and has her mimic, which Muna has shown great aptitude for, going through basic sun salutation and breathing exercises to attain a level of calm enlightenment that will serve her in times where she cannot immediately get the thing that she wants. That delayed gratification and stuff only makes that piece of fish taste more sweet. Whether or not this actually is successful is another thing, but she will guide her through breathing practices and meditative practices to find some inner peace, or at least some inner satisfaction and peace.
Yeah, Muna sits there with you in the crops of trees. And then in the daylight, outside, all of the variety of hues of her feathers, ranging in blues and pinks, quite vibrant. Her big glassy eyes blink a few times, and she tries to strike the meditative pose that you showed her. Roll, if you would, persuasion or insight, or you sort of, what's your approach to this lesson?
A lot of this is the very first prayer poses and meditations taught to all the priestesses in the temple, because you usually are refraining from having the things that you want and finding something else to focus on, and how to control your impulses is very much so the first step towards enlightenment. So if it's persuasion or if it's religion,
I'll let you choose. Whatever the approach is that you're bringing to it.
I'll go with religion, because she's teaching her the way she was taught as really a very young acolyte. I'm gonna use one of my little goddess voice because that's not nice. I'll mark it off, but I'll put some.
The dice know.
I know, right? Much better.
All right, with 26. Yeah, before
Good lord, the difference.
before too long, Muna is sitting there in the grass, eyes closed, snout turned up just a bit, looking peaceful. A little butterfly comes by, now it's on top of her head.
Yes, just like that. You're doing so good. And deep breath in. Hold it. Hold it. Let it sit inside of you. And then...
She lets out a deep breath, baring all of her fangs. And looks pleasant and peaceful.
You're such a natural learner. I can't wait to show you the temple.
Nice. All right, and over the next days, who else is going to give Muna some life lessons?
If nobody else has specific things, I think seeing the deep interest that she has in looking for fish, I think Shalate goes to the other end. Instead of delaying gratification, she will teach her how to get fish, and so she takes her out onto the end of the pier, or maybe onto the boat as well, and the one boat that remains, and will teach her how to cast out a line, and actually probably benefits from the patience and the breathing exercises, because fishing is a very relaxed activity. Shows her where to go find the fish, and at some point, I think if there's time, she wants to teach her how to actually catch them with their hands, just for fun, since it seems it might keep her busy.
And yeah, at first, Muna is gripping the sides of the small boat, eyes wide, every portion of her trying to keep balance and not fall into the water. This seems very uncomfortable. But then after a while, the allure of glistening fish in the water catches her attention. And you can tell that
I think at
she
some
wants
point
them.
she realizes maybe she should teach her how to swim first. And then take her onto the water.
Well, no time like the present, because as the fish swims by, she desperately wants it. What do you? Yeah, in that moment, what are you gonna show her?
If the fish are swimming by, she will. Yeah, I guess she'll show her how to catch them with her hands first.
All right. So yeah, what skill do you want to use here? Is this? Do you feel like you're approaching this from survival?
I guess this would be a survival thing,
Okay.
since it's kind of foraging, basically.
All right, give it a roll.
Seriously.
What is with the dice today?
All right, is that one sticking?
Yeah, it'll say.
All right, you reach out into the water, snatch a fish out of the water, and his eyes go wide, and she reaches out for the fish, and you feel the boat start to tip, and splash. She manages to tip the whole boat over you and all.
Goes in after her, and I guess now she's gonna give her a swimming lesson.
Yeah, as we pull back, we see Muna splashing in the water with Shalati teaching her how to swim. Casey, beach.
Yeah, I guess Casey can come up with something. It's late at night, and Muna and Casey are sitting. Well, Muna's sitting in one of the chairs in Casey's house, and Casey is rifling through a trunk, pulling out bits and different kind of shapes and stuff, and throwing them behind this curtain with a little shelf at the bottom of it. And he turns back to her and says, "So, you're in for a treat. First time seeing a shadow play, I'm sure." And he rifles through some more and throws a few more down, and he runs over and extinguishes the candles around the room until there's just pitch blackness. And he moves behind the curtain and says, "But of course, if you're gonna have shadows, you need light." And he clicks both fingers, and flames bursts into his hands, illuminating the back of the curtain. And he moves back and tosses them onto two candles behind him, casting his shadow large onto the screen there. And he walks forward towards the curtain, his shadow getting bigger and bigger, and kind of peeks around the side of it at Muna to see what she's doing.
Yeah, her eyes are wide, going back and forth, the slits at their centers having dilated to be larger than they had been before. She watches with anticipation of what's going on. You can see the thick, her thick reptilian tail swaying back and forth, and you can see she's fidgeting, interested in what's happening.
So we don't have time to do the whole thing. Plus, I want to show you how to do fire afterwards, but we can just do maybe one scene. Yeah, this is a good one. Act 3, Scene 4. Yes, the ogre cave. And he kind of ducks back behind it. You see a shadow kind of shake out and loosen up and everything like that. And he steps to one side and turns sideways and straightens up, puffs his chest out. And he says, in a voice clearly put on, Fresh knock, my dear ogre. I did not mean to intrude upon your... He kind of bumps into some skeletons on the ground, and you hear this noise of bones clattering and whatnot. Well-decorated abode. I've merely come to retrieve the poor grandparents of the small child. He kind of peeks around the corner of the thing. The small child Muna. Ducks back in. Shadow grows large. And then it says, our hero nudges a small skull with his foot. Or what's left of them. He kind of steps forward a little bit. You hear these bones rattling as the shadow walks in place. And then after a few moments, another shadow appears opposite of Casey's and grows up and forms into this hulking mass larger than Casey's. And the shadow looks up at it and says, Yes, Thirstnock. Pleasure to meet you. And on guard! And he jumps at him, and the shadows lock in battle and flicker around, and the flames dance behind them. Another flame erupts and flies back into a third candle, making the shadows even darker on the screen there. And they tussle and turn, and you see Casey's arm fly out from one side and then come back in. And this time it's holding a shadow blade that plunges deep into the other shadow. And that shadow leans back and lets out a roar. He's like, apologies, good sir, but you can't just come and take people from town whenever you please. Throws the dagger to the ground, and it flies from behind the shadow, sticks into the floor, and disappears. Says, now, where are those grandparents of the poor child, Muna? And the scene continues after this. He ends up doing a few more scenes, just kind of getting caught up in it. But yeah, this goes on for, another hour or so.
Yeah, you see Muna trying to peek around the curtain, see what's inside, lifting up the bottom. Curious about how it could all possibly work. Roll. Let's see. What would you say is the theme of the story of the ogre?
I would say face fear head on.
To roll performance or persuasion or whatever. Whatever your approach to this.
Yeah, no matter the odds, go forward with gusto. He said persuasion or performance. Okay. Casey's a much better persuader than he is performer. But both are my best thing. It's an 18.
All right. Yeah, and Muna sits with transfixed eyes throughout the stories that unfold before her, and shadow on the screen. Yeah. And before, by the end of the day, you catch her near sunset. The shadows of her hands on the wall in front of her. She makes it's on the walls. Yeah, telling all the stories to herself.
Nah.
All right.
He'll also try to show her fire at some point.
Peach, you're the only one left.
Yeah, where's Muna staying? Does she have like a place now that we Is she
A
still like in that
nest?
weird bolted shut place, or is she like at a room now somewhere?
I don't know, you guys tell me. You kind of gave her off to the moms, so more than likely. Let's say Shalati, I know, had made sort of a mate arranged one of the empty houses where she could potentially stay. Tell you what, you guys can have a. I don't. You guys will be the ones that decide that. I'm not the one that decides that.
I would vote she lives with other people. If anyone's feeling an empty nest lately in town and is so inclined to take in Muna, I think that she's better off with people than by herself, since she mimics so much and she'll learn the best habits with. But where is entirely up to.
I mean, she's welcome to stay at the Wanderlust, and Peach would have offered that, but I don't want to presume that that's where her location is. But
You certainly could. The Wanderlust. Remember, the Wanderlust is a tavern, so you don't have that many rooms, so it is pretty crowded. And there are.
I figured that we had like Miranda's room, Peach's room, and then like I imagine like the bunk room where like Araya sometimes stayed when she stayed over, and that has like maybe 4 beds in it, like bunk, 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 and that's where I thought Shalati's family might be staying.
I don't know exactly. I had imagined Rhea had like a little room under the stairs kind of thing.
Oh,
for their,
cute!
like,
I
house.
like
Yes,
that
Harry
too.
Potter.
I like that better. I love that Araya had her own special space.
Because I know we have a couple of people staying there. It's fine. I mean, like, yeah, it can be shared space, so she could be in a shared space there, or if it makes more sense with all of the empty houses that are in Shepherd's End for her to stay somewhere else. It's up to you guys. I'm not going to be the one to decide that, but
I think Shalati would probably move her family out to whatever place field they start keeping the sheep in. Just because the place is getting crowded, so there might be a little bit more room in the Wanderlust now.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so with Ash and Yev having moved out back to the farm, that leaves some vacancy for Muna to be staying at the Wanderlust. I think that makes sense. But,
Oh, can I give her Araya's old room?
is Araya moving into a new room?
Oh no, Araya's staying at the Wanderlust, right? You're not going back to the temple.
I went to the temple temporarily, brought more stuff back.
Oh yeah, no, but you're staying here.
I have turned my small little mini room into packed with books. More desk than bed.
Fire hazard.
So cute. In that case, yeah, Peachwood, she's kind of taken over her mom's room, so she would bring Muna to her old place, her old bedroom, her childhood bedroom, and she would sort of walk her up there, and in seeing her up there, Peach would say, so you're welcome to stay wherever you want. This is just an option, and we all were kind of talking, and we didn't figure you wanted to stay all by yourself, but then we didn't know who you might want to stay with, and so we just figured you can be here, and this can be your like alone space, because everybody's been taking care of you and looking after you, and I just want to make sure you've got a place where you can just be your own self and express yourself how you want to be, and just be whoever Muna wants to be at.
And yeah, you see Muna kind of snooping around the room, figures out how to open the drawers, looks in the wardrobe, and maybe there's like a steel mirror, and she tries to look around behind it, and she pauses and just looks at you.
Oh, and I've got I thought of this too. Peach pulls her kind of satchel from around where she's been wearing a cross backpack. It's her bag of holding. It looks like a small leather purse, but with a large tear that has been repaired by like a bright pink and orange tulle floral applique. And Peach reaches into it elbow deep and pulls out what eventually unfolds to be an entire rack of clothing. And then it sets it up and kicks it into place. She says, so when we started going on treks and things, I didn't know what else to bring. So I started just bringing most of the stuff I could find. And I figure if you want to find a look that you like, then you can go with whatever we've got here. Well, a lot of it's mine, but some of it's my mom, and some of it's my mom's, and some of it's, bits of costumes and stuff from different pantomimes we had down there. So it's nothing great quality, but if you want to express yourself in your own way, there's plenty to work from here.
Yeah, and you see her eyes grow wide, and she looks at the old or the dress that she'd been given with its puffy skirts, and she looks at all the variety of clothes there on the rack, and she looks excited.
And just, I don't know. I don't feel like I've got good tricks to teach you. So I just figure I'd give you a way to show your own expression. And I know you're working on talking and learning who you are, but you can also look however you want. You can be an entirely different person if you want to, day to day, based on what you put on and what all makeup you apply and what the way you carry yourself. And we were talking about skirts the other day. We got skirts in all different styles for all different types of bottoms. Only thing I don't have for you is shoes. I think we'd have to have them custom.
All right. So, with your influence, by the time you guys finish this fashion session, what's Muna wearing at the end of this?
Oh, I don't know. You tell me. Chris, you're Muna.
Okay. Well, roll for me if you would. Persuasion or insight or whatever you're going to do to...
Okay.
And what are you trying? What are you conveying to her? Is it her own self-expression, her own freedom to decide for herself? Like, what is
charisma, independence, self-reliance?
Okay. Yeah. Choose how you want to convey that and give it a roll.
I'm going to call it performance because I think I'm trying to teach her self-confidence.
All right. It's going to be a 13. Is that going to stand?
No, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of whatever I called it.
Okay.
That's better.
28, much better than a 13. Yeah, so by the end of it, Muna is wearing a pair of trousers that taper down at the bottom, kind of mid-calf. Yeah, she has calves. It leaves her clawed feet kind of open. There's a frill, not a frill, there's a fluff of almost like coattails that come off the back that leaves her tail free. And she's picked out all of the best bows and ribbons from your collection that decorate her feathers. Yeah, and you see her kind of hopping back and forth, and she kind of jumps from a chair onto a table. Much more freedom of movement than the skirts she was wearing before.
Now, I envision that Salinger would bump in at this point, but I don't want to presume to start Sean's scene for him. I just thought this would be really funny for Sal to come
Sal,
across.
the fashion police.
Yes.
So
I really, really, so I don't want to presume to pull you into the scene, Sean, but I just thought Sal's reaction would be wonderful.
That's up to Sean.
Right, the first run's going to be a quick joke because it's funny to me. The door slams open, whistles blaring, sirens calling, lights flashing behind him, eyes wide. How dare you randomly put together things on this impressionable youth? You are under arrest. Locks up Peach, drags her away. What really happens is Sal and Poppy will walk in, and his facial expression drops for a second. Long enough because Peach has known him since he was like 4, that he judged, but then corrected himself and said, "Oh, you look wonderful, Muna. It's excellent choices there."
She looks over in your direction with the wide variety of different makeups and and cold, stuff like that, just kind of applied in the strangest and most creative ways all over her face. It's not quite war makeup. It's not quite beauty makeup. It's a little somewhere in between. Took some inspiration from some of the shadow plays that she had seen.
Salinger, I haven't seen you in a few days. How you been? You like Muna's look?
Yes, of course.
I'm trying to show her how she doesn't have to really listen to anybody. She can express herself exactly as she wants.
That sounds precisely like advice you would give. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I did have a tea time scheduled with Muna. You're welcome to join. Of course, Poppy's already waiting at the table just to walk through a few things. She's dressed for the occasion. I don't think I have the wardrobe to match. Well, this can be an eclectic affair.
Poppy's waiting on tea?
Should be. Every once in a while, she still jumps on the table and knocks things over. Been going through teacups quickly, you may have noticed.
I don't want to presume to intrude, but I would really love to see tea with you and Poppy and our new friend Muna. I think that would be a wonderful and enlightening experience.
All right. And he would lead them down to a corner that he set up in the Wanderlust, making sure that it was quiet enough to not have too many distractions and not have gawking eyes of the townsfolk that, well, while accepting, are still a little bit shook. In the last few months, things have been wild.
Peach is just sitting quietly.
Yeah, certainly before too long. Poppy's in chair, surprisingly well behaved. Muna examines the table, sits down. She and Poppy stare at each other for a while.
All right, so me and Poppy been going over this for a while, trying to figure out how to sit in polite company, because frankly, one of the wonderful things about Lux is how diverse and eclectic, and also it's one of the frightening things. And as a new member of our family, you were born here, you're automatically a citizen. Only makes sense to teach you the basics of Luxian tea. It's not always tea. Some people prefer stronger drinks, but it interferes with my digestion, so I'm providing what works for me in this moment, and the host tends to make that decision. I see the squinty eyes there. Poppy does the same thing when I get off on one of these tirades, but just follow me, watch my hands. First thing you do, select a napkin, and you fold it like this. They're always piled at the center of the table.
As you begin to fold a napkin, she reaches out and snatches one up. Starts to try to mimic you.
I ain't going to overcomplicate it in this lesson, but there are about 8 different types of folds depending on which cultural norms you're adhering to. I'm going with the traditional, adopted Lux fashions, though I prefer Sylvan. Folds are rounded, more delicate. But from here, place that gently under your teacup. You don't want to drip on somebody else's table.
You see her slowly trying to go through the motions, doing what you did.
Now, it doesn't have to be perfect. The point is to just follow the lead. And he picks up a pot, starts to carefully pour for everyone, ensuring that he makes eye contact, and then with Poppy first, she does a little lowered eye and a little bow with her head.
You can see her clawed fingers drumming at the edge of the table, anxious, pleasantly anxious, fascinated with what's happening.
Now, your first instinct's probably to just pick that cup up and take a drink, but no. No. One, it'd be too hot. Well, for most folks. Casey doesn't really care about the temperature. He just downs the stuff and goes through the pot too quickly. But everybody has their own style. Rather, light, to make small talk, to make conversation. And you're very good at repetition, so this is one of those moments.
Challenger.
Perfect. Address your host. Great start. Go around the table, make sure to address everybody in turn. You want everybody to feel equal at the table, just like the folks are here.
She turns to Peach and politely nods her head just like Salinger did. Salinger.
Well, I'm Peach. It's nice to meet you, Muna.
Muna. She sits up straight.
After a few rounds of that, go back and forth. You just wait for the host lead. I'll ask you if you want sugar, cream, or any other accoutrement depending on your preference. Some folks prefer spices, again, the digestion. Well, here's a key. Here's the whole point. It's especially for you, Poppy, because you're going to be showing her along the way. You got a leg up. Observation. You could do this same ceremony 100 different times with 100 different types of folks. Could be a table full of dwarves, a table full of gnomes, a table full of goblins. Follow them. Watch them. Move with them. That's a lesson. You can drink your tea now. And I won't make you hold back on the cookies. I made those myself. And Poppy's going to dunk her head into a cookie monster, a few crumbs everywhere to start, and I have to pull her back.
So, tentatively taking the fragile little teacup up in her claws, you can hear the little tink, tink, the tinkling of it. Muna slowly lifts the teacup, falling after the way that she had demonstrated, and goes to take a sip. Yeah, so this lesson in observation etiquette. How do you want to approach this? Is this, I do this through persuasion?
I don't know. Observation feels more like wisdom to me.
Okay. Anyone
You
do?
should do it with advantage because I'm here to help. And I've been being a perfect model, Lexi, and a tea guest. You can add a bardic inspiration if you would like.
That's a D6?
Yeah.
Interesting. So perhaps insight?
Okay. Yeah, I like that. That feels fitting. Oop. Sorry, I have to get into your game, not the Storm Giant fight that I was running on Monday. That's a very different tea party. To buy some time while I'm pulling up my character sheet, Sal will go off on a little tangent about the history of furbolgs and their antisocial nature. It's interesting that when we got adopted into Luxian society, we used to be such recluses, wouldn't even approach folks to try and adopt their habits or manners, but really taken to it as people as a whole, at least my family has, and the handful that I've met before, only one other furbolg left in town now. So advantage and a D6?
No, just D6. I
Yeah,
couldn't
we'll do the
really
bardic
do
inspiration.
advantage.
Cuckoo.
So it's going to be a 14. The D6. Ooh, a 6 on the D6 for a 20. Nice. Well, pinky claw out. Muna takes a sip of the tea. Delicately sets the cup back down on the saucer without spilling a drop.
Now, Elvish custom would have had you tuck that pinky around the base of the glass to keep it balanced. Keeps you a little bit more nimble. You can gesticulate as you talk. You can drift out of the scene with him talking about more different historical customs that most people don't practice that much anymore, but he's fascinated by.
Nice. All right. Yeah, and so by the end of the second day, well, no, the third day, even after Muna had just hatched from her shell, it's near sunset that her shadow flashes across the side of a building, and from rooftop to rooftop. She leaps from one to the other, goes dashing across the roof, slides down, runs through the streets, and ends up before too long at the coast near the old lighthouse. Poppy is just whips through the grass just a moment behind. And as the sun is dipping low on the horizon for coming toward the short evening, Poppy and Muna look at each other. There's a flash of bioluminescent colors through her feathers, and they flash through Poppy's as well. And then the two look back across the town of Shepherd's End. Lots of people moving about in the streets, and the lights, candles, lanterns coming on the different taverns. And she adjusts one of the ribbons in her feathers, and the two go.
Just a girl and her dinosaur.
Let's see. All right.
The ribbons are a wonderful addition to my headcanon. Just them flowing in the breeze along with feathers completely superfluous in every way. It's fantastic.
So we'll say it is, let's call it the 45th day of winter. No, autumn. 45th day of autumn. A few days left till everyone's done with all the chores. A lot of people are indisposed today, working on a variety of things. But the five of you have come together at the Wanderlust in order to figure out what you're going to do. I think all of you in particular are done with all of the stuff that you were working on.
Actually, that leads me to a question I had. Would Charlotte be able to build more boats with a proficiency in sea vehicles?
Not the vehicle portion, but carpenter skills or something like that would.
Okay.
Woodworker or carpenter. So I'm going to place you guys in the Wanderlust in one particular morning.
The Wanderlust ambient sounds are very good.
You also have to imagine a periodic moo that emanates from outside.
The Shepherd's Inn has one remaining cow, one remaining chicken, one remaining pig, one horse with like 45 hooves.
Bite them.
Tall
We also
orc.
never actually
What?
see them, so they're just sort of a rumor. It's like, oh, you just missed it. It was around the corner.
You've heard of a stampede. This is a centipede.
Oh, that's such a gross image. Thank you.
Horse-sized centipede is horrifying.
I'm imagining a centipede, but made out of horse segments.
I just have to account for all the different video bumps we have in ambient.
Is it a centaur though? Like at the very end, it's a human torso. Centipede?
No, well, it's a
Centaur.
centaur, so there's 100 human bodies.
No, it's the human and horse part repeated again and again.
Mm-hmm.
One creature shouldn't have that many heads. It's just going to lead us to so many problems.
So who all is at the wanderlust?
Each of
Right.
you.
We're all there. I'm sorry, I'm lacking in inspiration. We're selling our house. We had a realtor come today.
Ooh.
All I can think is like, this might be the last time this is my background.
Exciting.
And I'm quickly doing what you were doing while I was listening in, updating my character sheet because I forgot to do it.
Is Muna with us, or is she off gallivanting with Poppy like two crazy dinosaurs?
I think that so she's not a distraction for this moment. She's also under the watch of like all of the mothers as well, so she's not.
Who all are the mothers who are left? I was trying to figure, and I couldn't think of more than two.
Yeah, I think in terms of named characters, we have Gwen and we have Merwin, who is Seyfried's mother. And then there's certainly a variety of them that are.
Was the baker or Meraldine? Or did they have children?
Meraldine had an apprentice. I need to double check if that was her kid or not. I can't remember. There was Sally the baker, but yeah, I hadn't imagined any of those necessarily. But there's a wide variety of.
That's fine. I was
caretakers.
the only. I had counted those two player character parents, and then couldn't think of other living parents because all of ours are gone or off at the warfront.
Yeah, I think for character-related maternal figures, that's the only two. Aside from Schlotty.
So what's everyone planning to do today?
Oh, well, I found a really interesting passage about an old god that was worshipped by some craftspeople. I wanted to talk with Beth about it. I think it'd interest her, even if it is a little bit strange. But she's so busy. She doesn't even have time to read her normal books. So I have to read twice as much.
Yeah, thank goodness those books won't go unread.
You never know.
I think Beth is pretty busy over the next couple of days at least.
You know, she did try to read while crafting at the same time. Did not go well. The book got burned, and then the horseshoe sucked.
You know, she's a good thing that it didn't start smelling like burned goat hair in there, so she got off lucky that she just messed up the horseshoe. So you have no plans because talking to Beth about your interesting book about metal gods. Yeah.
Yes.
I was listening.
So have you considered maybe reading it aloud to her? She might like that. Sort of like a book, but audio, one might say.
Schlotty, you're a genius. Although, well, the things that she was interested in reading, the things that I'm interested in reading, I might actually just put her to sleep at the forge, which is also dangerous.
Yes, I can see how that would happen.
I think at this point, Casey comes in to the Wanderlust, and it's clear he has not slept. He has an armful of white sheets, some of which look like they are singed around the sides. Can't tell if it's his doing or they kind of smell like smoke as well. Like maybe they've been in a house fire. And he comes over to the table and he kind of plops them down on there.
Casey, I do not provide laundry services here.
No, I need to learn how to. He kind of like looks at Peach and then Aurea and then passes over Shalati and looks at Salinger and says, I need to learn how to sew. I think I figured it out. The sheet's too small. It just doesn't, it's not big enough to fit everything. So I went around to some of the other houses and gathered some more. So it needs to be at least 4 times bigger. That's, yeah.
But what caught on fire while you were trying to sew?
What? No, there's no fire. These are from the buildings that burnt down earlier.
What? Wait, what?
The houses that burned down. Do you remember the slimes that came and like destroyed a bunch of stuff?
I didn't realize it would cause you to smell so bad. You know, ash is usually, that's a component of soap.
You know, it's the sheets. I just pulled these sheets out of the houses.
Why are we going around looking for sheets and things? Are you
Shadow play,
places,
right?
Casey?
Because I need a bigger canvas. Canvas
For what? What are you making?
Clear?
It's for his shadow play. It's quite good.
You are not.
I mean, I think.
I just need to sew them, and like they're scrunched together on the end so that they fit around the mattress, so they don't go together properly. They're useless. I don't know why people do this. I need to cut that part off and make a flat sheet.
Well, you just need to cut the part that's squished it together, not cut off. It's still good fabric. It's just
there's a drawstring in there, Casey.
Yeah, you just gotta cut the string.
Yes, thank you, Salinger. Can you help me? He's still looking at Salinger.
You do have a defter hand at this, Al. I'm good at draping, not so great at sewing. My outfit, one piece of fabric. Look, chignon.
Mine's 26. We both look great.
Clean it and steam it first, then pull out the drawstring. We'll cut it down on the right size straps, then think about stitching it together. But you have to tell me exactly what you're making before I help you at all.
You have to clean it with water too, by the way, Casey.
I'll clean it.
No, don't enable him.
I mean, you could steam clean it.
Would take care of those wrinkles.
Saying, a little heat didn't hurt nothing.
I have a pond. I have a very clean pond. Minimal moss. It's
Peach told me
small.
that thing was filled with piranhas. Is that not true?
Yes. But not a lot of moss. The water is quite clear. I have a lot of suckerfish too. What? No.
I told
They're
you
not going to bite fabric.
I just said they weren't as good as the ones up at the temple. I didn't say they weren't any good. Saying I'm making up things about piranhas. You know those are just little fish going after your scaly toes.
Makes my
places
feet very
consider
nice and soft.
He makes
like
a
a
face at the
pedicure.
comments, scaly toes, and walks around the room for a little while. Still listening, still here.
Some people have naturally scaly toes too, you know.
Oh yeah, but not Salinger. That's why it hurt his feelings.
He has a pumice stone. I've seen it. His daily routine is very complicated.
My feelings aren't hurt. Says he keeps walking around.
I think Salinger has toe beans and that he's got to trim the hair in between them.
Casey
Does
is.
Salinger have toe beans? They ran around barefoot on the docks a lot. Did they look like that?
Okay, but Canon, please.
Does have pads.
Yes.
There is foot hair. Well, you do not
What
call
would
them
Charlotte know
beans.
about this?
We could
Peach says,
You've all seen
Would
me
Charlotte
swim at the
remember this?
most
Okay.
recent encounter, yeah. So you've all definitely.
well, then Peach would say, he's got to trim the hair between his toe beans, you know.
technical term.
In the science community.
As soon as everyone kind of started going on their own tangents, Casey kind of sat down and leaned back in the chair against a wall, just kind of smiling and listening to everyone, the chaos unfolding. And at some point during the whole thing, he fell asleep.
Oh,
Leaning back in
temptation.
the chair against the wall.
Yes, tail temptation high to grab the leg and just like a little shake, like not a lot, just a little shake.
Do you tip his chair over?
No, I just like the fake out
You're gonna prank me?
a little.
Do I notice this?
Just like the bear is
Araya
just like,
decides not to prank him. Araya's tail has different ideas.
Sleight of
there's two sides to my coin.
hand.
Can
I don't
roll
have shit
perception to
for
see
that.
it?
Don't we have to say sleight of tail, like legally?
The one's tail.
That's what you get for pranking Casey.
She grabs his ass.
Let's not go too far.
Tail pinch.
That's a bad roll.
I'm gonna let it stand just because it's funnier.
I am low on HP.
Yeah, I think you
Oh, why? What? How?
you intend. There was just for a moment the thought of, wouldn't it be funny if you just nudged the chair just a little bit. Next thing you know, Casey's character goes tipping over.
Like the full. Oh god.
Fully goes over, whacks on the ground. One of the nearby tables.
Wait. Can I try to catch up before it falls all the way?
Lightning reflexes.
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity. I think.
Save your boy.
Yeah. Well, this is a situation for surprise. Is there something that stops you from being able to be surprised?
Not fully, but I have a 19 passive perception.
That is good. Okay, yeah, you can make a roll, but it'll be with disadvantage to try to catch the chair.
What roll would that be?
Dexterity saving throw, I think. So I think for you that evens out to a regular roll, right?
It would just be 15. Yeah.
Ooh, okay, yeah. Just as you see the chair start to tip, you know it's going to go over, and you manage to. How do you say it?
Her hand shoots out and just like grabs the back of the chair, or where would they be positioned? Maybe her leg shoots out, snakes around the other leg, and then just like back down. It might tilt him too far the other way, perhaps, since he was tilted back.
Back on the four legs.
Yeah, you wake up to. Chair slam it.
Kind of looks over to Shalati after we started licking some. Am I still dreaming?
She sips her Hakim. Doesn't say anything. Has to look at Araya and just raises her brow.
Using my foot and holding my upper body remarkably still, I'm trying to untangle my tail from the chair leg. It's holding on, like it's very obvious. She's just like.
Yeah, Casey certainly doesn't notice this. After seeing,
I love that Shal gets like all the noticeable blame.
He's like, yeah, I guess not. And tilts his head forward onto the table and the pile of blankets there. It's like, just need a bigger canvas. And he goes back to sleep, head on the table in the blankets.
Is he just not sleep? Why is he not sleeping? He doesn't take a shower and he doesn't sleep.
He gets on these things, and he just doesn't let them go till they wear him down to nothing. Used to drag me and Ez along with him sometimes.
He and Ez are cut from the same cloth. No sleep.
Opposite sides of the same cloth. Different corners, I think.
No, he's the scrunched corner. This is the flat.
I hope Ez is okay. He works himself too hard. Turns into a knotted up ball of stress. I think his eyebrows are just going to get stuck in that V shape.
I have invited him to some sun salutations with me at the small glen. He's routinely turned them down. He has far more pressing matters on his mind than clearing his mind. His mind needs to be full. Full is better than empty. Empty is healthy. Empty-ish is healthy. Periodic emptying is healthy.
Well, you know we're on the same page there.
Cheers. Tiny teacup. Tink.
And Doc is just as overworked as anyone. As far as I know, she's back to back, not sleeping either.
The number of people who hit their own thumbs with a hammer in this town is remarkable. You'd think.
I didn't realize Teridian was doing so much work. I kind of thought it was all Ava. I've got much more respect for the old lizard.
To be fair, the tradespeople got hit the hardest during the slime disaster.
It's true.
Yeah, we
A whole
did.
bunch of dock workers with muscle but no sense of skill trying to swing those hammers around.
You know,
They are
brute
all thumbs.
but brute strength does get you pretty far with getting things done. I mean, I can't lift any of those boards, and they one on each shoulder.
The wall around the town is just docks turned sideways.
We don't need these anymore. No boats.
Oh my god.
One
Ooh,
boat.
That would actually be a cool visual, though. Like a town barrier made of shipwrecks.
They didn't even take it apart. They just dragged it and then turned it upright as a, like...
Oh, I pictured them stacking them like Lincoln logs, like they just cut little grooves so they'd slide together.
They're just like the dock legs pointing outwards. Yeah.
No, that'd be really scalable by possibly.
Okay, inward.
It's
Inward.
only on the inside, yeah. It's for us.
Oh, okay,
We'll
yeah,
get
yeah,
up
that's
to our
fine.
parapets.
Yeah, fair.
We have 2 parapets and 2 archers.
I just love the idea of them not ever taking it apart and then just like putting it sideways.
The back door to the pantry, the Wanderlust, flies open, and Yev comes out, kind of takes his gloves off, and sees you guys. His eyes widen, his face brightens, and he heads over. Sits down at the table with you guys.
I look at his thumbs first.
What? Looks at his hands.
Nothing.
She fixes him up a Yev-sized plate from the breakfast table and a cup and slides it over.
Whoa. Yeah, he looks excited. Takes a forkful. Well, what you going to do about all of the weird stuff?
Be more specific.
Oh, weird stuff.
Hmm.
Everything's kind of weird.
I know there's some business in the. You guys were doing something with the water, and then there's the forest, and then there's the old tunnels, and I know you guys were going to leave town, and then there's that the town.
Did there use from the forest?
No, that's just the portal. We can't do anything about that till Ez figures that out, but we should go to the town.
Right.
Well,
Although
Casey
we
needs sleep. But
Yeah, we should lower that like 2 notches, guys. Boy is snoring over there.
we should go to the tunnels. I think the tunnels might have more answers about this.
What about the thing at the temple too? You said there was a thing there too.
Well, we're not going to close that one. We're going to wait until the priestesses come back.
You
Until the
never did
giant
finish telling us.
sandworms come through.
You never
Don't
did
show
finish
it.
telling us about what happened there. I don't think. We got a bit distracted.
Well, I mean, Casey did most of the talking, signaling. And I have reason to believe that it is both friend and that it's not quite right. It's, up at the temple, we weren't really taught much of Lux code, so maybe it's just she's doing the best she can, signaling back what she can to the portal that she sees. If someone is there, they're off on the far distant rocks beyond the sand, but that it's dangerous. Now, it's dangerous they need help. It's dangerous they can't face it to come back to the portal. It's dangerous and they want us to face danger and they're trapped and it's more to be trapped. I have no good answers. I think that they're still alive. I just don't know if it's a good idea to go or not, but it looks like a land without much water or resources to survive.
She looks a little bit disturbed at the idea of going through a place with no water.
Well, did he use traditional, modern, or contemporary Lux code? Because you can have miscommunications with that stuff if you're not careful.
What?
What?
Well, they have slightly different beats, rhythms, and cadences to the use of the flashes and the signals. Sometimes words get jumbled. You know how some words in Giant sound like other words in Common sound a little bit like
Well,
words in
this
Elvish?
one was
Then
a
he starts
word
to
play
turn
in
red and looks at
Celestial.
Shalati and stops.
There was a bit of wordplay in Celestial, which made me think that it truly was one of my sisters. Maybe you should come to the portal. Well, when we can. I mean, we have a lot to do, but...
Yeah, maybe we ought to drag
if we-
Geb with us this time, too, he says, poking him with his elbow.
If we do anything with the portal there, though, I feel like it would be better to have everyone. And maybe the
of
portal
course.
floating thing, if that's, or the portal opening, in case that needs, so... I don't know, it's not very long until it's already, right?
Yeah.
6 more days?
But I feel that order of importance for portals is water portal, forest portal, and then considering the temple.
And the temple, yes, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know what's a good idea. I just know that my sisters haven't come back.
There's also the matter of those Draxite around the portal in the forest that look like Muna's footprints.
You think
So
they
there
look
might
like
be others.
Muna's?
Yes, they match their feet quite well.
And they decided to bring their eggs over?
Or maybe the egg was stolen or something and they're looking for it.
Ooh. Ooh.
There's also, I mean, we've been sitting on the rift, the chasm beneath the ruins for this long and we haven't gone, so it's been itching at the back of my mind.
I feel maybe we'll lightly poke around some of the ruins. We've learned a lot since the last time we were there. I don't think we'd need the full force of our friends.
And at least 2 of you are able to go across distances without actually crossing them. She looks at Salinger and then at Casey.
Now, could you hold one end of a rope and then the rope still be between the 2 spots, or do you take the whole rope with you? Like if I was holding one end of the rope and you...
Well, one, it's not a beep noise, it's more like a whoosh noise. But yeah. I think that maybe we should try it out.
Yes!
Not
right
over
now!
Right now?
Yeah, of course! What? Why not?
Well, you got me there. I don't have a why.
Can you only do it like once?
Depends on... I got a couple different ways. We could try one each.
Well, I mean, we could wait till it's important, but then you get stuck on the other side.
If it doesn't work that way, we can figure out a way that you could pull it across. So.
Shoot it with a bow and arrow and not hit our friend.
Or a javelin tied onto one end.
Also not hit our friend.
Ideally.
Or like a rock.
I'm sure one of those would work.
I'm good at none of them. I'll hold one end of the rope. Oh, we can use my rope. It's only about 5 feet shorter than it was last time.
At a
We should
bare
maybe
minimum,
also.
we probably ought
Sorry,
to
go
map
ahead.
those tunnels and how they connect to each other. If the mines do in fact connect to those old ruins, if they do in fact connect to the coastline, it'd be nice to know, at least
Oh, where the one that is over the chasm and leads to the ocean goes.
well, we know there's a smell of salt water. That could be a underground lake or something. Not necessarily the coastline, but a bunch of subterranean
Did Casey-
tunnels.
Did Casey ever tell the others that he went to the secret entrance in the mines and found that the entrance had been collapsed?
No.
Okay. I think Shalati then will say, and we never did actually go look at the other end of the tunnel in the mines, because there was the branching, the fork, and one end led out to that secret entrance near the dwarf farms, and the other end we never went down in it. So maybe we can see about that, or that earth shake a few days ago. That was very strong too. It was one of the strongest that has happened in a while. So that might have changed the layout of things underground as well.
Or shaking something dangerous loose. That's always a possibility after everything.
Are one of these characters carrying that cleaver we found down there? Okay, you
Shalati
are.
had it last, I believe.
Yes.
We probably ought to learn something more about that. What's the word? I guess craftsmanship.
Yes. We can see if the original owner is still around and bad that it got taken. There were, I don't believe it was mentioned to be a very pleasant sight from what I think it was Kibeth that saw it. It was Kibeth and Seifrid.
I actually don't remember. None of you were there in the party that went there, right? Okay.
Yeah, it was only like one or two of them who went, scouted ahead.
I just remember it being described as gruesome.
I scouted with the thing that ate the stuff that when we got the boots off of the
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Oh,
I was
okay,
there.
you were one of them. Okay.
I was there.
Casey was too, right? Casey's asleep. Never mind. I was there. It was terrible.
Yeah,
I
there
don't know
was
why
like a
that was
little,
Kibeth.
there's a little
Could I
gap
think
that
of-
people squeeze down into. I think someone scouted ahead and like saw the thing, and then we ran.
Yeah, it was not worth sticking around. Whatever had dragged all those bodies and piled them up in the...
Yeah. Brief out of character, just kind of overview. You spotted a creature, a small one, that you
little
was
kobold thing.
kobold, but different from any kobold you'd seen.
Rock
if you'd seen them.
kobold.
There was some kind of creature that I don't think you actually saw, you just heard it, that had killed or mutilated some of the people that had gone missing from working in that area. And in addition, you found that big cleaver. It's crude in its design, but very well built. Less refined version, maybe, of dwarven craft. If you had to guess. Much more crude, but similar sensibilities.
Like the geometry and shape of the blade, stuff like that.
Yeah, more, but it feels more of a result of, more a result of the simplicity of the designs, less than intended motif.
And as a reminder, dwarven make is really geometric in this setting too, right? Like hard triangles and okay.
Yeah.
This was like the best they could do looking at something dwarven, maybe.
Maybe.
So I would guess that the investigating the mines by the dwarf farms might be the quickest thing we could do today. And
Well, they'd
perhaps
collapsed those. We have to go up into the mountain where we first found the chicken.
They did.
Yeah. Before
Casey
they
hadn't
left.
said it. Casey hadn't said anything about it.
Oh, no? I thought...
Apparently not.
Never mind.
I don't think so.
We could go to the place where we found the chicken. At least we kind of know the layout of that, and I might feel more confident that I'm not going to run into an angry dwarf looking for maybe a couple more clues about these items.
Indeed. It might be a bit more dangerous going down into the chasm, but possibly also more fruitful.
AC kind of rouses at this and says, We're going to the chasm. Yeah, let's go.
Wait. Somebody
pushes
please
a
summarize.
couple of
Why
here
are
with
we
you.
going to the chasm? What is the purpose of this so that we can...
Because there's a giant creature down there that seems dangerous, and we should probably check it out before it decides to come out and kill us all like the other things did.
Yeah,
Right,
safeguarding
fair.
our village from underneath.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Risking our lives for precautions.
Yev turns his head and he says, Ash, we need you to stay and protect the town. Everyone is counting on you. We are going to go off now.
Whoa. She looks at Shalati.
Shalata is gonna let Araya take the lead since she has done a lot of this, and she's like, oh, someone else wants to do this. She somehow indicates with this just one ironic gesture.
Yev. What's Yev's full name?
Yevitsik.
Yevitsik.
Igris.
Yevitsik. We have counted on you and your stalwart protection of the town while we're away. Who else can pull us up from the cavern should all our plans go awry but someone as strong as you?
Okay, you want me to go with you to the caverns, and just in case something bad happens?
No, I want you to stay in town, and should we not return come nightfall, come to the mouth of the cavern and yell down to us and see if we need help.
But I've been running every day.
You know, I've been meaning to bring this up for a little while now. I think it's time to let Yev tag along.
Yeah, I mean, Shalati, it's up to you and your family, but I don't have a problem with Yev coming along either. I think he'd be more of a help than a hindrance, especially with Kabeth not here. And, well, Cypher too. And, not to speak ill of Ez or Ava, but it's not like there are, frontline fighters.
Did you see Ez in that last fight? He's incredible.
And I heard Ava would agree with anything that Salinger says.
I don't know, I didn't see much of that last fight. It had me face down in the water most of it.
And just to put a pin on my point before you make your decision, because ultimately, Shalati, we'll defer to your wisdom, your family. Traditional Furbog society, I wouldn't be considered an adult until I was 30 years old. I'm technically Ez's age. Yev's age. Ugh, I shouldn't have had kefir today.
She leans forward and is about to say something, like in a low voice to the others, pauses a moment at this, and then says anyway, goes ahead and says anyway, he's 15.
And I'm 18.
His voice hasn't even fully dropped yet.
Neither has mine.
What?
You have to say the same thing, but optimistically. He's 15!
That's the spirit.
Which is why you're on rope duty. Top of the cavern rope duty. Protect the village at the top of the cavern duty.
It's a family thing and you all gotta fill out, but I'd be happy with you there fighting alongside me, Yev.
He is among the village elders.
Well, that's a bit depressing.
Remember when you were 15? Would you let your family go off into danger? Alone? No. You would protect them.
Kind of did, because the papa and stepmama went up north.
Um,
And that wasn't even 15 at the point, I was 17.
but 15, you know what they say, 15 is the new 17.
By that logic, we should be taking Ash because she's 2 years older than you. So she's. If,
Ash and leave Yev. Okay.
I wish Doc was here to explain the physiological differences between some of us and how those maturities and sizes vary from. I don't have the words.
She's tried to give you the talk too.
Yeah, more than once.
What talk?
Well, not all of us hatch out of
Oh.
eggs, Araya.
I'll tell you later.
My mom
Shalati
saves
gives
the story.
Araya just like a look, and then just wait a moment, wait.
Right.
Do you
So-
know?
Chasm time, huh?
All right, we'll table that for later. And then she looks
Yeah.
at Yev and says, "I guess you did. I suppose you did handle yourself all right on the cliffs. So maybe we go to these other cliffs, and you stay on the side of them again. Keep a watch out. And if we don't come back, or we start screaming, then you run back and you warn the village.
I'm good with the ropes.
Tell Ava and Esmond and Seyfried and Kiba, so that they know something's coming."
Okay, I can do it. I'll be back up.
Backup's a good plan.
I guess all the running is a good training for that.
Sal's gonna give him a slap on the back and lean in and say, "See it one step at a time."
He looks pleased.
I really was trying to take the heat off of you making that choice every single time, I promise.
She pats Araya's hand and says, "Thank you, I appreciate the backup."
Okay, I'm gonna go get the ropes ready. I'll be back. He gets up around.
So, Chasm? Might? Sounds like we're talking Chasm. Chasm then?
Yeah, I
And,
would love to see anything. I didn't get to see nearly as much of the chasm as I wanted to since I hadn't gone down with you all initially. I feel there might be something worth finding there.
Alright, I'll go and get ready and get everything. And she's gonna stack up her blades neatly in one part of the table for Ash or Peach to take and clean up, and then she's gonna head off to the new place that the Caddy, Fakir, Emmett have taken over. Just to grab all her stuff.
All right. Any other? What are the general preparations that you guys are gonna make?
I'm gonna cast my fancy armor spell instead of donning. It's 8 hours. It's fantastic.
Lots of rope.
More rope than we expected. Slowly trying to sneak some of Casey's new fabric. Maybe we need this.
Do you need some?
No, yeah, you have any more rope? Did you find any rope?
Rope? I mean, I have rope at the house, yeah. I have to take these there anyway, so I'll go drop these off and grab some rope. Yeah.
I think she might run by the blacksmiths, either of them, and see if they have pitons or stakes or anything like that for climbing as well.
Actually, before too long, Yev shows up with 3 coils of 50-foot hemp rope and a set of climbing pins.
Cool. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
I guess that's it. Probably all rejoined with whatever preparations they need to make at the Wanderlust. And she looks over and nods. Says, some torches as well, perhaps? I have a tinderbox. make some light for you, and she looks around, looks at Salinger, I think. Is the only one here who doesn't have dark vision.
He flicks that little marble that can emanate light around just as a reminder.
Oh, that's right. That's right. All right. So the torches would just be good for a Yev.
All right. Let's take we'll take a 10-minute break, and when we come back, have in mind like what you're bringing, any special supplies or things stuff like that, so we have some idea what you have.
Nice.
Cool.
I think it's basically what I have in my inventory in D&D Beyond.
Before too long, the southern outskirts of Shepherd's End, you have gathered at the sinkhole that once was the hangout ruins of children of the town. After the incident, the dynamite, this portion here has collapsed in, revealing a tunnel to an ancient and buried place. The snows have painted this entire area white. And after the most recent earth shake, a portion of the wall had sheared off and collapsed in on some of the ruins down below. However, it creates a much more convenient walkway to get down now where you used to, before you had to climb. But now there's a steep but navigable descending stairway of sorts that reaches down. As you all arrive there, give us a bit of description of like what your visible equipment looks like, so we kind of set a tone for how you're looking and what you've brought with you.
Araya has her, like, what you would consider her, like, most priest-like vestments, but shimmering beneath layers of fabric and cloth in the mantle is a kind of magic armor that is light and of light, and you can only catch it like at an angle that you might get a glimpse of it. But hefted over her bag is like a big backpack and a rope, and she has a book for taking notes, like out and in her hand. It'll take her a beat to be ready for combat, but she is ready for exploring information.
Sal's wearing a very dark fur-lined coat with a hood pulled up, scarf around his neck with alternating warm tones on it, bright orange and magentas with black X's across it. He's got rope twirled around his arm and then clipped to his belt, and he is carrying a spear and wearing a metal gauntlet, large boots, and occasionally shakes like a big dog or a bear to knock snow off of himself.
I think Shalati is mostly dressed in what has become her sort of usual going out, adventuring, sallying forth clothes. She's also carrying a backpack and with jingles with a fair amount of stuff, the crowbar and a pick dangles from one side. There's ropes. There's probably other stuff inside of it. Judging by the way in which she hefts it around, it's fairly heavy. There's a couple other sacks hanging at her waist, and she carries over is the shield or the buckler at her belt, and the enormous glaive. That looks like it was meant to be a knife for someone bigger is in its strapped carrying sheath at her back, and over most of it is a poncho made of wool. Looks like dyed in alternating thick bands of green and black against the only concession against the cold.
Casey is barefoot with kind of pants, slightly baggy pants that cut off like just below the knee. He is wearing his leather chest piece with studs in it, but as he comes in, he's kind of tugging at it a little bit. He's clearly uncomfortable wearing this thing. And he has 4 pouches strapped to his waist, kind of onto a slightly askew belt. One of the pouches is buzzing slightly. If you get close, you can hear just slight buzzing noise coming from it, but he doesn't have any visible weapons or anything like that with him, and his hair is kind of slicked back, and little embers are coming off of it as he walks up.
Peach is traveling really lightly for her. She really only seems to be carrying the small flower purse, and at her waist is a belt and Miranda's now slightly acid damaged rapier. Peach herself is dressed conservatively and for movement. She's wearing dark clothes, a leather bodice that is some sort of studded resistant armor as well, as being a fashion piece. The armor does not fit her perfectly. You can see areas where the laces have been tightened and loosened, where the straps, the laces themselves, are discolored, where they're lighter or darker as they've been moved. And if you knew Miranda in her youth, you would notice that Peach is wearing much of her mother's hand-me-downs. And most significantly in her outfit, she's wearing a short red cape, and the cape is the only part of color in Peach's muted wardrobe. She's usually in bright pastels and neon blues, and now she's in dark grays and violets, but with that red cape on top.
One other thing I should note that you see on Casey on his belt, he does have 3 wooden stakes also along his belt, along with kind of another stake that is just blunt on both ends, strapped to his belt.
Yeah, Yev has a coil of rope all around each of his shoulders, 2 different ones, and also one around his waist. There's a little bandolier of climbing pins. And otherwise, looks like wearing mostly, like tanned leather. A cold wind blows across the snow. You can look down into the pit before you. Last time you were, not the last time you were here, but maybe the first time you were here, was your first encounter with one of the puddings, a black pudding. And Esmond had fended away with a burst of lightning. Found, and since then, the remains of some of the villagers deeper below, maybe killed or maybe eaten by some still unseen creature that lurks beneath.
Did you say that Sal had his gauntlet on?
Yeah.
Casey kind of nods to his hand and says, "Ready to get the rest of that?"
It didn't make sense not to go back down here with a piece of something we took from it. Though, if the rest of it got carried away by something or wandered away on its own, I don't know if we necessarily want that to be what we find. This is more securing and making towns safer. So this is kind of fiddles with the fingers on it, clenching them in the cold. Fun aesthetic reminder. This has swirls of like light brushed engraving that look like flowing water across the plates of metal on the gauntlet.
So, like, it's the Infinity Gauntlet. Got it.
Well, it's silvery color, and it does have giant gems of different colors in the knuckles, but it's nothing like the Infinity Gun.
Those are later edition. I think Charlotte is going to take up her usual position at the front, and will start to pick her way down the rubble side. And, I'm heading deeper toward the chasm.
Yeah, seeing Shalati just go in full steam, anyone that sees Casey can see that he's grinning at this, and he follows right after.
T and Casey vanish into the dark of the overhanging cavern. This portion that's been exposed here, the archway that they pass through, is man-made. Some ancient architecture was revealed by the cave-in.
Array is going to be obnoxious about observing details.
Yeah, as two of them vanish inside, that leaves Peach and Salinger and Ray and Yev outside, and Yev looks at each of you and then says, okay, here we go.
Yev, give him just a minute.
Hmm?
Wait, no!
No, give
What? Why?
because maybe Shalati and Casey want to talk for a minute.
Oh.
Without a little brother around.
But what if they also run into something that both silences them and kills them at the bottom?
Oh, all right. If you gotta bring realism into it, Oraya, yeah, well, I'll follow after.
I'm so confused. Yev ducks in, goes inside.
Not every adventure is one of your romance novels, Peach.
But
it
every
could be.
adventure could have some romance. Thank you, Oraya.
I do listen.
Have you been sharing those books with her?
Yes.
I mean, have you read the stuff they gave her at the temple? It's all protect your virtue, sacrifice for the maiden.
Well, these are noble reasons. Doesn't mean I can't read.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying that your books tend to have similar messages and that it can be fun to have a diverse perspective.
Have you go before me down the rope? I think I'm gonna be slow.
Peach will follow after, or unless Yev wants to go before. She'd follow Yevon.
Yev already ducked
I thought
inside.
Yev was staying at the top.
Chris described him
No,
ducking in.
You went.
I will pop that marble up and have a little glowing light floating in front of him and follow right after Yev.
By all means, Peach.
Peach gives Array a little curtsy and then follows Sal.
Wind blows across the chasm, leaving Ray alone outside.
Follow down, suddenly afraid to be by myself. More afraid of being by myself than going down a great height.
Before too long, Yev's, Saddle, move one of those lights up ahead. It's too dark. I can't see it too well.
Okay. I think it can float within 30 feet of me, so I can make it go ahead of him instead of right in front of me.
That's good. Before too long, you've moved through the portion of man-made tunnel that becomes natural cave. And then at the split, it takes you 15, maybe 20 minutes to get to the place you start to smell salt water, hear the sound of rushing water. You pass through a fissure in the wall, and it takes you to a portion of vast cavern. You can hear the water much closer now, and the light that spreads out from the magic sphere, in addition to those of you can see in the dark, you find yourself faced with, once again, with the collapsed stone of a bridge that would once extended across a great chasm, the sound of water deep beneath. It looks as though in the earth shakes that have plagued this region ever since the tower fell, that even more of that bridge has collapsed and fallen down below. The gap between where you are and the far side has grown to be 70 feet in length. And those of you who can see in the dark, across the far side, you still see the archway, man-made, that leads to deeper portions of the tunnels.
The portion or the hole that the kobold had originally come out of, are they still visible?
Yeah, it's not so much a hole as it's just there are, naturally occurring, seem to be cracks and things all through the rock base. And it kind of scurried it out of one of those.
Casey sees the even farther gap now and kind of puts his hands up to his head and says, I'm going to need to adjust the course.
Brought the ropes. I can't see how far is it. Just, oh, and he kind of gets a
Too
nervous
far.
look.
I think we'll need at least 2 of them for just one rope. Should maybe start tying 2 of them together. I have another length if we want to make 2 ropes so that it's safer to cross that way.
Good idea. And he pulls the ropes down. He starts to tie 2 ends together.
Guess if we can figure out the way to get it across, tie one end around here, the stalagmite around here, how we did it before. Tie the other end around there. And I think we cut the rope last time. Is that portion still there? Was it taken?
Yeah, you can still see it dangling there.
And maybe if we make like a little basket harness seat, and then hang it over the rope, and then sort of shimmy across, it will.
I should say it's
Basically,
it's hanging from the other side, the far side, not your side.
yeah. If we can manage to get at least one of the rope across, and then someone can sort of crawl across, hanging from it, or tie the rope across. And then if we do a loop around and then have it tied around in a sort of a basket style hanging, that way if they fall, then they will only fall a little bit. If they're getting across the first time, that seems difficult. She's kind of like doing tests, like steps, trying to figure out if she could leap it, but she's not trying very hard because she doesn't think she can.
You got any tricks up your sleeve to get that thing across this chasm, Casey?
Casey is kind of standing at the edge there looking out over it and looks down to the dark and says, No, I haven't made the jump yet.
When last we were here, something crawled out of the cavern itself that we're trying to cross. Maybe across is possible, going down and then up again.
Some path we can't see.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a good thought. Just gonna look down on this side of the cliff.
Yeah, investigating down. No, this very clearly used to be a bridge, and you've thrown some stones down there before, and you know it's a very deep drop. You heard us last time you were here. You heard a splash of water when you threw a big stone down there. There might be a way to climb down, but it wouldn't get you to where you're trying to go.
So that cool, you know, this is too far.
Yeah, I was just thinking, how big is that gap, do we reckon? What was that number again?
70 feet.
Thank you.
I can probably throw a spear that far. It's just a matter of, is there actually anything on the other side that would actually catch well enough? How far would I be able to throw a grappling hook?
I would probably give a grappling hook the same range as the throwing axe.
So my hand axe, you mean?
Although that is for effective attack range, not just pure how far you can throw it. I might say, that's a good question. How far can you just throw something? Is there already a rule for that? Or did I need to make some up?
Grappling hook range.
Quick Google search says improvised thrown thing 60 feet.
But it is the, you mentioned the attack range.
Yeah, say your maximum unarticulate throw, just pure distance. Let's call that 3 times your strength. Does that make sense? So you have average strength, throw something 30 feet. I guess it would depend on, like, you know, what it is. We'll say the ideal throwing instrument, you know, like a claw hammer. It's pretty good, right? How far could the average person throw that? Like 50 feet? Let's say 5 times your strength square. There we go.
I'll have you know, I can throw this 40 feet.
I think Charlotte squints at the far end and says, I might be able to throw the grappling hook across. And then if that is, and if that catches on something, that could be solid enough.
I mean, is there any harm in just trying it? Like, what if you wing it and it doesn't go
true.
far enough? Might as well.
That's true. I'll still have a hold on the other end, so she's gonna take out the grappling hook and tie it onto the 2 ropes that Yeva has tied together, and start doing the swing over the head.
Okay.
And then it's gonna launch it.
All right. Is that pretty safely just within your raw distance?
I think if it's 5 times her strength, then it's 85 feet that she can throw it.
Yeah. Get it spinning and then hurl it. Yeah. The goes sailing across, the rope trailing behind. Ding, 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 ding. You hear it clattering around on the other side and giving it after a while, giving it a pull. You feel it catch on something. It's hard. I mean, it feels solid. You can't be sure, but it feels like you got a pretty good hold.
She's gonna hand it to Salinger and say, "Give this a tug. See if it's still holding on with you. 'Cause it has to bear your weight." So,
Sounds good. He also gives that glowing marble a little thump. It turns out it can float 60 feet, so he's going to float it within 10 feet to see what it's hanging on to as best he can. It might be too far and too dark, but it's worth a try.
Okay, yeah, you just send it out there into the dark, and you start to make out the very edge of the rock face on the far side. You can see the rope. It seems to be caught on. Maybe it used to be a pillar. There's a crack in the stone. Seems pretty solid. You probably give a good pull on that rope, and it feels strong. Not to say it can't come loose, but it seems to be pretty solid.
Yeah, I think that'll hold me.
Look, one of us go over just the one and bring a second rope with us.
Who's the lightest of us? The safest?
Yeah, Peach trails off as she looks at the rest of the group and realizes that she is physically the smallest.
I'll go.
Charlotte
Before I
is
do,
going
let me-
to.
Let me just do something real quick so that we can talk to each other, like with the fish, in case one of you fall. And don't need to do this, but just for show. Casey kind of stands and starts to verbalize like low rumbling noises that sound like Ignan, but not quite. Like the words are drawn out and a lot deeper than the actual primordial language that he speaks. And he kind of glances over at Shalati.
Charlotte backs up a few steps but then says, "Include Yev."
Glances over at Yev, then has flashbacks to the cacophony in his head from the last time.
Get the candle. I'm ready.
Yeah, I don't think you need it, Yev. And looks at Salinger, Peach, and Araya, and as these low rumblings kind of amplify a bit, they go from being in your ears, hearing him, to in your head, hearing that noise. And once it gets into that form, the rumbling kind of subsides. And Casey goes, "Can you hear me?" But his mouth does not move. And the three of you hear him say that.
Ooh.
Peach says with her regular voice, "Can we think back at you?" And then she tries to think it back at him and says, "Thanks. Can I think it back at you?"
Yeah, it works.
Is this everybody's in the conversation, we're all around the campfire together, or is this a couple of everybody calling Casey one-on-ones?
I can hear you.
You, Araya, and Sal can communicate within a mile of each other. With me.
That's amazing.
For the next 4 hours. Give or take.
Casey, the
But-
relay board operator.
And it can be shut down at will.
Yeah, what all can you read just like direct thoughts? What all can you all see?
Casey's eyes cut over to Shalati when Sal asked that, and it's like, yeah, you can end it if you want.
Just in case somebody sprains an ankle and they just keep screaming in their head, I just wanted to make sure.
I'll see you guys on the other side.
May
Don't
the
forget to
maiden
stretch
guide
those.
your step. Guidance.
Charlotte at this point is moving forward and takes the rope that she has and ties it around his waist. Is basically like doing up a harness. Doing like this really ginger kind of move to like try and do a minimal actual touching of body, and then is going to do a loop around the rope itself, which I assume has been tied off to this side as well.
How tight do you make that knot? Like cinch it down.
Let's see. Let's do a 1d10, and 10 is super tight and 1 is kind of loose.
Snug is safe.
Oh, it's super loose.
Drapes it over your shoulder.
Casey sees this and is like, kind of goes back behind her and tightens it up a bit more. Yeah, but he goes over to the rope, and it's tied off on. Well, it's grappled on one end, tied off on the other, presumably. Is that right, Chris?
It's grappled on the far end. I'm assuming, is Salinger just holding the rope, or have you tied it off on this side?
I hope Salinger's not holding the rope because he's falling asleep.
I think we tied it off, or I said that we'd probably tied this off on the side to the one that we used before.
Okay.
You just
Says that to a new father. We feel you, Sean. Hooray, and I get it.
No, I was doing the same thing earlier today, so no shade there. Yeah, so Casey walks over to the rope, kind of stands up on the end that's, with the rock tied off, bounces a couple times while still over the ground. And he's like, all right. And he'll start to tightrope walk across to the other side.
All right. You begin to step your way across the rope. You feel the oscillating wiggle of it beneath your feet as you step and try to maintain your balance. Describe to us as you work your way out to the middle.
Yeah, Casey is stepping, his bare feet, one in front of the other, sideways, as he moves along the rope, periodically stopping as the rope gets a little loose and he kind of centers himself again. At one point, as he's getting closer and closer to the middle, the rope kind of wobbles a lot more than previous times, and he pauses for a moment and he reaches down momentarily to the blunted stake on his belt, and he kind of touches it there, but then regains his balance there and raises an eyebrow and then keeps stepping forward with his arms out to kind of maintain balance.
As you reach the middle, you can feel the rope at its most unstable point. Each small change in your balance makes you sway back and forth several feet at a time. You can feel the wind blowing through this area, hear the water down beneath, feel the moisture in the air. You've thrown a stone down there before, and you've heard how far it falls and the clatter against the rocks and splash in the water beneath. Describe to us as you make it all the way across.
Yeah, Casey, as he moves into the second half of the rope, he picks up speed a little bit, and the rope wobbles a bit more as he comes to the end. It focuses back into stability, and he gets to the other side and kind of takes second to the last step and spins, and the last step is walking backwards on the rope as he steps over and hops off backwards onto the other side. He's like, see? Piece of cake. And he moves over to start to tie off, or see where the grappling hook is, to tie that end off as well.
Yeah, you find the what was the actual object that it was attached to that you threw? Was that a hammer?
It was a grappling hook.
Oh, grappling hook. Okay, yeah, you find the grappling hook has caught itself on part of the rocks, and yeah, you look at it and you realize, oh, that could have slipped off real easily.
A good thing I didn't bounce in the middle like I was planning on doing. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna tie it off. 1 sec. And he'll find a spot to tie it off.
Okay. And after a moment more, yeah, you've secured it really well.
Did he actually? I just realized nobody thought to actually specify that we had tied out a second rope and we're paying it out
You tied a whole harness on him.
onto him, yeah. But everybody else is gonna have to. How is the harness gonna get back?
Oh, yeah. We all added, or at least Peach added her rope to the
I
rope.
brought
Oh,
rope.
okay. Okay, cool.
So
Everybody has their own little rope harness.
I mean, we should have 2 ropes going across the chasm now, right? The one that was attached to me, and then the one that.
I did
Grappling
assume
hook?
that your harness was the rope that you were then we were holding him on this side, and that if it failed
Oh, okay.
utterly,
Yeah, I
that's
thought
what
he was
I
bringing.
thought.
He was bringing over the second line.
Okay, my assumption was that that rope was attached
Attached to the rope
to
that he
the
was.
slack line, essentially.
No, I thought
But-
we were.
okay.
I thought we were his safety. We're like the the rock climbing.
Oh my gosh, it should have been attached to the slack line, though. Gosh, we are not good at this.
To make it easy, you could do both. It could both be attached to the slack line, and you have the far end of it.
Okay, yeah. There's one that's down to the, and then he's kind of tied to the middle, and then there's a far end that we're holding on to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just so he doesn't swing and smash into the rope. You can also
Yeah.
pull it back across.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so Casey will tie off that end. And the 3 of you will hear in your heads, all right, who's next?
I'll go. Do we have any rope left? I wouldn't mind a harness too.
Shalade is going to grab the third rope from Yev, and we'll start to wrap it around Peach as well. Same way she did with Casey, but not as loose.
Once
I lay-
Peach. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna lay my hands on you and just be like, may your foot always find the surest path. Guidance.
Yes. So Peach is actually going to cross this the way that I've done this before in a ropes course, where she has her feet sort of on one of the ropes, and then if the other one is, I imagine 2 feet, 3 feet, she'll be holding onto the other one under her armpits. So she has her armpits under, or the rope under the armpits across her chest, and then the second rope she's pushing with her feet. And I know that they're more horizontally oriented, but she's still moving that way for safety.
All right. Yeah. Describe to us as Peach's mannerisms as you get out to the middle.
Peach gets out to the middle, sort of moving cautiously and steadily. And as she moves out to the middle, she does not look back. She does not look down. She is looking straight up at the ceiling or the stars that they can still see above if the chasm is open.
It's not. It's yeah.
Oh,
you're
well,
like
then
in
she is
cavern.
seeing the cavern ceiling. But out of the corner of her eye, she can see the flickering light of Casey's hair, and that's sort of that's where she aims for.
All right, and you get to the middle. And there's a sway of the rope. And you hear one bit of rock on the far side let go and splash in the water.
Pete, this startles Peach. She does holler out, "Is all right, Casey? Is it still good?"
Yeah, I mean, you're good. Just loose rocks falling.
Describe as you make it all the way across.
As Peach makes it across, she gets to the edge and sort of looks around. And if Casey is there, she sort of looks for help getting up. So she'd grab his hand if offered.
Yeah, he'll hop her over and like, no problem. Well done.
Thanks. It wasn't graceful, but I figure it was better than trying to make it cute and deadly.
No, you did great.
Shall?
Keep a watch out. So you soon, she says to Yev, and also the other two, and I don't think she. Let me see if she has another rope. Nope, she does not have another rope. So she's just gonna head toward the two ropes there, and will start to step across cautiously.
Give us a little bit of description as you get out to the middle.
She is going at a fairly steady clip, just 1 foot over the other, staring at her next step rather than down or up or across, really. Just rolled focus down into hands, gloved hands on the rope, boots on the other rope, and as she reaches the middle, she smells the salt, the faint salt scent. Takes in a deep breath and then pauses for a moment before she continues on, still not looking down.
Please describe as you make it all the way across.
And her pace is more or less steady and even the entire way across as she steps off on the other side.
Before too long, Charlotte joins you on the far side.
I'm probably going to put the most strain on this thing, Rhea. You want to go before me?
Sure, but first I'm going to. May the maiden always light your path, that you may find the correct way forward. Bling! May the maidens have me in her hands. Bling! Guidance, guidance, guidance. Aurea, with no shame and no harness, fully, like, hands and feet, scoots like an inchworm over the, she belts herself into that rope, and like an inchworm scoots across, with the most, no shame, none shame.
Describe to us as you get out to about the middle.
So when she gets out to the middle after, her endurance wanes, and she ends up kind of flipped upside down to the rest of the way until scrabbling kind of in like a sweated panic at the very end. Oh,
Each would help her up.
Well, she's not there yet.
Oh, okay. So that's...
Oh, you're rolling stuff. Yeah, that sounds about right.
At one point, there's a piece of rock that lets go from the ceiling. Falls right past you, just a foot to your left. Let you make it across.
Oh, thank God. Why are the dice getting smaller?
Good luck, Sal. Hope you have another rope.
Sal unties the rope that was attached to the ring on the end of the spear, uses that, ties it around himself, and makes a harness to attach to the rope to help him slide across. Takes off his heavy coat, folds it neatly, sets it down beside Yev, spear on top of it, looks at him and says, "I can't risk dropping that down a hole, so it's not mine. we don't make it back, you make sure that gets back to the temple. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you're gonna make it back. There's nothing to worry about.
Yeah, of course, but better safe than sorry. He says as he starts to, more gracefully than you'd expect for a young man his size, move across the ropes.
Describe to us as you get about to them.
Sal is, say, incapable of not looking at all of his surroundings, and he looks down and up and forward as he goes, not fixing on any particular point. And around the middle, he pauses and just stares into that abyss for a second and takes a long, deep breath before fixing on the point in front of him. Not wobbly, not uncertain, but just calming himself with that breath.
Reach about the middle. Sal, heavier than all the others. The rope starts to groan just a bit. There's a wind that blows across your fur. You hear a chop of the water beneath you as wave splashes against the rocks. Please describe as you make it all the way across.
Fixed on the point in front of him, he kind of slides across the rope, one hand in front of the other, keeping that slow, deep breath. Realizes about halfway through he closed his eyes without meaning to, and then his foot hits rock and realizes he made it. Opens them back up with a big grin as if everything went exactly according to plan.
Casey says next to Shalati, you have to tie to the other end of that rope. He points to the one that he had brought across before he comes.
What do you mean before he comes?
Before he comes across.
He's not coming across.
Does he know that?
Yes. There's a reason. Someone should left the spear there.
You left your spear.
Yeah,
I
I'd
assume
never
at
roped
least
to
it's
tie it.
visible from the distance.
Like you've been telling us for over a week now. By getting a scrape, I just have to really, really want a knife.
Wait, did that work for you?
No, I was teasing him. All right.
I'm seeing a lot of knives lately.
It worked for Cypher. Doc doesn't want it enough yet.
I
She
know
looks at
mine are intangible. She'll pull a fake knife.
Someone just says, "Do you want the? Do you need the weapon?" She indicates the short sword and the dagger and the shield and the glaive and the two javelins she has.
He clenches the gauntlet open and closed 3 times. Like, I really got one if we need it. I'm hoping it don't come to... It's supposed to be exploration, not combat, if we can help.
She thinks about it for a moment and then unhooks the buckler at her waist and says, "For your other arm. If I'm likely to be using this anyway, I don't have room for it." And she taps the glaive over her shoulder.
Fair enough. Straps it to his forearm. Gives it a couple pats.
Downward?
Well, we've come all this way.
How much further did y'all make it last time? Casey, you were leading the pack, weren't you?
I wasn't keeping track of how far. It's just this way, though. Kind of walks over to the only open pathway.
At the far side of the bridge is a large open archway of some ancient structure.
I just want to do a quick sweep around to see if there's any other tracks that were recently made.
Give a survival roll.
You can use the guidance on it.
That is
Holy
a
shit!
33.
Holy! No, but you crit both.
What
Yeah.
can't you find with a roll like that?
Natural.
Latia's one with the cave.
Despite all
She
odds,
closes her eyes and all the air currents. I'm sorry.
despite
Some Sherlock Holmes.
despite the odds, hard stone ground, been here for so long, you find the smallest scrape on the edge of a bit of stone, something unusual that stands out to you. And there's another. There's something dried there, something with moisture here in a pattern that's left a bit of an impression in the mud. Something's been through here. I don't know if you had to guess by the way it's dried. In the past few weeks.
She does the whole legless thing where she's like looks around, then kneels down next to a thing and like touches it, and then like, you know, crumples it between her fingers, and then looks around at the rest of the signs and says, "There's still something passing through here, but not for a few weeks."
In fact, with a natural 20, as you reach down and you put your hand to the stone, the same way that a master thief might touch the base of a safe to feel the tumblers, you feel the slightest impact tremor. And then, rhythmically, almost imperceptible, far away, not close.
And I don't know if it is the same thing. It might not be, but there is definitely something very big here, far away. I can feel its steps. Having said that, she stands up again, dusts off her hands, and unholsters the glaive of her back and is moving forward again.
See Shalati vanish into the tunnels below. The archway, I should say. Anyone make any more preparations before you follow? As we meet.
No, Casey just grins and follows.
Going as quietly as possible.
Sal had been leaned over Araya's shoulder, saying, "Now, make sure you got the distance right when your notes there between the arch and the edge of the cliff and the distance across it where the collapsed bridge is."
And then, did you see any inscriptions from your height?
No, nothing I can make out.
Nothing down here either. She's like crouched. Book. You know, I really shouldn't read in the dark with dark, but it's never seemed to affect my eyes.
Casey doubles back to the archway opening and moves over to the edge and calls across to Yev. Yev, we'll be back. You hold these lines, yeah? And he points to the two ropes going across.
Okay. I'll watch here. Be careful. Tell me if you find anything cool.
Casey raises a hand and moves back into the archway.
The archway leads into the ruins of an ancient structure, long collapsed, broken at impossible angles. There are moments when you find yourself sliding along the angle of that used to be a wall. Was it a floor? Not sure. There's a handhold. It gets you down to the next doorway. Wait, or is that a window? I'm not sure. Deeper down, some of the pathways are unnavigatable, collapsed, too small for you to fit. find another way around. Down deeper you go. No one's supposed to travel these tunnels. They're not here for you. You are finding the happenstance of the way that this place collapsed and was covered by time. Different places to climb and duck and crawl and squeeze as you go deeper down.
This Casey, as they're moving down, kind of says to no one in particular, these passageways, the way these rooms are structured, it kind of reminds me of a scene in the play when Diamante went through the house of Asher. It was kind of like this. Everything was turned and twisted upside down and on its side.
That had a happy ending, didn't it? Found his way through just fine.
I mean, of course he survived, yeah. I mean, after the hordes. But, I mean, he dealt with them handily enough. It was not an issue.
Didn't they also have to, like, make an appeal to the god of death or something at some point in order to stay alive? Or maybe mixing it up with another one.
You're thinking that was scene 2 of Act 2 and Act 5. Yeah. And Act 7.
Oh, they came back.
Yeah. No, he met with the god of death several times, but they were pretty good friends by the end, but no. This one did end up kind of breaking in two at the end and burning down the house of Escher, but yeah. Anyways, it was just something I noticed with these rooms. This obviously isn't that, so.
If there's any point of architecture interest, something that seems, I don't know. She's looking.
Yeah, you look around, certainly keeping a careful eye as you move down through these ruins. And there's something there that looks familiar. Roll religion. Or history, your choice.
You know what? I actually really care about this. And I haven't been able to use any of my cool stuff. And I can just re-roll with one of those points, right?
Mm-hmm.
Better.
+16 +3 for 19. Yeah, you make out there's still some relief on the side of a pillar. That's upside down, but it's still preserved enough that you can make it out. You've seen some of these carvings before. Very geometric in their shape. These designs are dwarven. Very old dwarven.
Sal! Look, this relief. You have to turn your head upside down to really understand it. But look, I'm pretty sure this is also dwarven. A lot like some of the stuff that we've seen in the other place. She is also like sketching, but like leaned over upside down so that she can like draw it side up.
Fortunately, with a 19, you can make out that it's dwarven, but you don't know what it's referring specifically to.
Since she pointed it out to me, could I throw a history at it?
Yeah. Take a look.
That's my best thing.
Religion's my best thing.
Oh no, I know nothing.
Yeah, as she points it out, yeah, it could be Dwarven. Maybe a dialect of Dwarven, something related. Maybe, well, maybe there's no shit. Just gnomish. Hard to know.
I think I'll just take a rubbing of this and look at it later when I'm a little less distracted by the topsy-turvy nature of our current explorations. I'll try to get a comprehensible section as opposed to like fragmented words if he can make out any sort of structure. But probably not.
Yeah, you managed to get a quick rubbing of something that looks potentially useful. And then deeper down you go.
Dave leans over and looks at what they found and says, "Didn't those urns in that sarcophagus we found on the other side, they had some designs on them too. Were they like this?"
No, those weren't dwarven at all. Way more organic shapes, more curves and rotations, and no decipherable language I could recognize. I still look at them sometimes.
And she keeps going forward, keeping an eye out for any fresher tracks, see if there's anything that sounds like it's or that vibration.
You find yourself leveraging your way between two outcroppings of stone in order to sort of swing your foot around and drop down to a ledge that leads super down. You almost would have missed it, but you managed to drop down there on what feels to be one more level, and the ground here is still slanted. But as you go deeper down, you're beginning to reach a portion of these caverns array that's familiar to you. This is one of the areas you passed through last time.
Oh, yeah. We've been through here. That means we're going a lot closer to the things eat people then.
And really, just as she says that, Charlotte, you find these are old bloodstains on the stone.
Well, looks like we've reached the point where the first killings happened. Certainly something bleeding here. Maybe it is better we start to walk quietly.
Probably ought to keep conversation in our heads too whenever possible.
Oh, I just assumed since we could all talk to each other that we all were.
Naturally.
Yes, let that be a blanket statement protecting all of us, please.
Shalati, we've been here before.
Oh, okay.
We're close to the things like favorite spot for eating people.
Great. Maybe we should walk quietly then. She's going to try to suit, although it's a bit hard with this giant weapon she has.
You all begin moving carefully and quietly. No need to roll yet. You move carefully along the slanted floor using breaks and cracks in the stone and outcroppings to maintain your balance. And this is about as deep as you had gone before. Ahead of you is another fissure in the stone, a portion of looks like a man-made doorway, partially collapsed, but it's certainly large enough for you to fit through. It looks as though in this room you see the edge of what used to be maybe a fountain. Like, was this a courtyard? It's partially collapsed here. Some broken pillars and rubble all tossed to the side, piled up in the corners, but you're able to pick your way across them. And from here You can head back to the labyrinthine ruins behind you, or from here go deeper down.
Sal. For a dwarven ruin, somehow toppled kind of upside down. Do we go up or do we go down? What's going to be more interesting? Usually with dwarves you go down, but this is toppled and kind of everything's topsy-turvy. So maybe up?
That'd make logical sense. Usually deeper is more complex. Might be more likely to get lost if we start going up.
Wait, is the labyrinth an area the place we came through?
Mm-hmm.
We've already come through.
Yeah.
Okay, so down is the only way we haven't been. Then.
From this point.
But we can't just stop here.
No, I wasn't suggesting such a thing. I was just thinking. Well, deeper, right? I mean, dwarves, logic, deeper, right? Shalani,
Yeah.
I was thinking we should go deeper because it's dwarves.
Charlotte's like us has paused when it seemed like everybody else paused and looks back over her shoulder. Like just watching them mind meld at each other. And when Array whispers to her, she just nods and keeps moving forward. Always forward.
So, something that it probably is a good clarification. I think the way that my thing is written, they can only talk to me and I can talk to them. So they can't talk to each other.
Oh, really?
So in situations like this, I can just relay stuff. But if it ever comes to a point where it's like something, I don't know,
Important.
important, yeah, it has to go through me, essentially.
Yeah, through the fissure in the wall, deeper down you go. There's a portion where you have to leap from one broken pillar to the next to avoid falling down jagged rocks beneath. But you manage to make the leap. Shimmy your way, or well, balance your way across some stone, and slide down a portion of rock. Deeper still. As you're going down, probably Shalati, you see a large, 3 large gash marks in a portion of the stone, as though, as sort of right as you set your hand into it, something clawed this pillar, or had gripped it before. Something strong enough to cut the stone.
She points at it, points it out to everyone else. Does like a little hand measurement to see how deep those claws went in and how long those gashes are. Trying to get a sense of how big it is.
Yeah, if you had to guess, it's a hand 3 times the size of yours. Yeah, there's a... Okay.
She hasn't gone where she is by not continuing to dive headfirst into things, so...
Yeah, there's a hiss of leather on stone as you slide down another portion, catch your feet, and a little outcropping. And then as you move forward, there's a portion where you're standing on a ceiling, but it's only just slightly slanted, almost level enough to keep your balance without holding onto the wall now. And as you move through, everybody roll. If you can, you guys have light. Roll history or religion, your choice. 23 plus 4 for Ryan. heads as you guys are moving along. It's upside down. First you thought it was maybe a window fixture, but as you look you realize probably 12 feet tall, carved into the stone what was a wall. It's upside down, but there's a symbol that you've seen before already. It's an old symbol that deals with the very thing that you'd meant to talk to Kabeth about. An old cult deals with fire, craft, iron. A cult that talks about the first people to shape stone and metal.
She sort of does like an involuntary gasp.
Simple. It was in my books. There's a god of craftsmen, and I think this god is one worshipped by the dwarves. Although this one's upside down too. Why is everything upside down?
And the books did you give her, Peach?
No, these were from my temple.
Let's see. And with the roll that you got in your religion, this symbol was studied by dwarves. It was an architecture. It was an archaeological curiosity of the ancient dwarves that were researched by Salois, but the symbol itself, not made by dwarves. Much, much older. And you can see here that it's been carved into the stone, but it's not the geometric runes that the dwarves use. The sensibilities of the marking are different.
So
And
it's older than, so the symbol older than dwarves, studied by dwarves is what you're saying.
Yes, but the carving you see in the wall now is newer than the architecture.
She kind of lays her hand in the grooves that are carved there. Not the ringed hand, just at least not that choice.
Well, it's enormous. It's like 12 feet tall.
Excellent. I can put a whole hand.
Mm-hmm.
How new does it look?
Hmm.
Just newer or new?
Well, if it's upside down, it was there before the ruins fell? Because it fell with ruins.
Roll. I don't know if there's a way to tell precisely. But you can tell by the fact that the carving on the wall is carved through things that were already beneath it. So it's certainly not an intended design for the wall.
Is it a symmetrical design?
Yeah, fairly symmetrical.
Okay, so there's like no actual way to tell orientation.
Well, it's symmetrical horizontally, but not vertically. And Array has seen the symbol before, is the only reason she knows it's upside down.
She turns her
Oh,
book
okay.
right side up to face you. This is what it's supposed to look like. So now it's upside down. And so,
What does it all mean? Those that worshipped this maybe came after the dwarves, but before this was in ruins. Interesting. Sal, we'll have to make sense of this.
You can't help but notice you realize it's a lot warmer here than it was before.
I get more comfortable.
I get less comfortable.
You're like, "Arr." You're wearing a fur cloak, right?
No, I left the coat behind at least.
Oh, okay. She
it
sort of just
important now?
wipes her brow.
Sorry, I interrupted.
Is it important now?
It's one of the main reasons why I came down into these caverns. I'm so excited.
Do we need to do anything? Is there like something behind it? Do you need to do anything with it? Okay, let's.
It's just so cool.
She kind of taps Sal.
You understand?
Yeah.
Evidence of gods.
Well,
Yes.
evidence of belief.
No evidence of gods.
And at the very least, the most interesting part to me is superimposed belief, either a changing in or a reinterpretation of. There's something about the engraving on top of the engraving. That's what's catching my eye anyway.
She sort of nods.
A silent debate, or unless Casey isn't passing this along.
Now, if I'm passing it along, he's inserting his own commentary in between.
I almost feel like the squeeze of excitement have to be actually verbal because I don't know if array could contain that. I'm just not. I'm
Yeah.
projecting. But
Yeah, no. She
Yeah.
makes subtle. It's not it's not a big noise. It's whispered noise, but it's like.
Yeah, as Casey's relaying this stuff, he's inserting his own commentary. Like, I mean, we all, any of us could be a god. It's the only reason there are more is because people limit themselves.
The philosophy inside your head. I don't want to argue the philosophy of this just inside your head. God granted powers, for instance.
Please don't argue philosophy.
Salinger Array is kind of saying, like, maybe gods aren't really real.
Right, we're all speaking through Casey.
I know, we're getting Casey interpretation. Like, if he decides to get spicy, it's like. Like, the telephone, but I'm getting mad at the person he's, possibly delivering a message from.
I like that we're all standing with each other, but getting Casey's interpretation of our thoughts.
And Sandra, as they're talking, you catch the edge of a scent. Something foul.
Chickens.
Anybody bring old food with them?
Not old food.
You can forget about a meat pie in that endless bag of yours and it's rotting out or something.
Our snack
No.
pouches keep it fresh.
I know, exactly. I keep my snack in my snack pouch.
So nobody else smells that then.
What?
There's a stink coming down from, well, I don't know the exact direction, but it's unpleasant.
What
You
do you
still
mean
feeling
by
those
stink?
vibrations, Lottie?
I'm assuming the last one was said aloud, please.
Yeah. And the stink. I think both of those comments were allowed.
If everyone stopped moving and stopped making noise, maybe you could tell.
Charlotte is gonna stop and put a hand down on the ground again, and try to see if she can feel it through her fingertips. Takes off a glove, puts her hand to the ground.
Takes a moment. Do you feel it? A little stronger now. Rhythmically, twice. Three times. Then it stops. And then a few more times. It stops.
Was there a pattern to it?
It seems to come in sets of 2 or 3. Wait, there's 5.
She's gonna tap out, or just kind of do a tap in the air when it hits. Just 1, 2, 3, and to indicate to the others. And it feels closer now, right? I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Still closer. I can't tell how far away, though. It's not exactly that keen sense.
While she was
Club
doing
back on.
that, could I have gotten a point of reference for the smell? Like, does it smell like anything?
Did you spend a moment more? Roll perception. In part, it's the smell of rot. But more than that, there's something layered with it. And the only thing that you can think of for a point of comparison is a long time ago, you're just a kid. Your mom made this dish that involved the boiling of rock skin, and it was just part of the recipe to get out some of the ingredients, but oh, the smell was so bad. That's what it reminds you of.
It is against my better judgment that we continue heading towards that smell. But as long as we're careful.
I mean, that's surely the way to go. We've barely found anything.
Peach will continue with the rest of the group, but Kate has to call it bedtime because it's getting close to 11.
Okay,
Sorry,
yeah.
folks. I have a strict schedule now that we're packing and moving. But
Right.
I should
feel
probably
free
be
to
getting ready to
NPC
go
me
too.
and please nobody die.
Yeah, we're close to a really good stop.
We're gonna uncover cosmic secrets.
Or giant boiled frog skin layered on top of dead bodies.
We came down here to see what is here and to take care of it if it needed to be taken care of. So we haven't done anything yet.
Well, I agree. I'm just letting you know what my instincts are saying, and they're saying that trouble's that way.
Fair. She moves for trouble.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any more of the rock kobolds.
You move along this expanse of what used to be ceiling, climb your way over a broken ridge of rock, leap across a small gap. Deeper down you go. There's a few switchbacks you have to climb to kind of get down where there's a fissure in the rock, and then drops you down into a small chamber with a slant that goes deeper still. But here, in this portion, there's a bit of a ledge that drops off the side into what almost seems like a pit. And the stench here is tremendous. More than that, as the slant curves down to a deeper portion and widens out into a small cavern, you can see something different from the other architecture that you've seen so far. This is aligned there's a pillar that you can tell is not part of the original architecture, but something that has been erected to make sense with the orientation of gravity. You'd have to get closer to a good look at it, but from the pit immediately next to the ledge that you're at, the smell is putrid.
I can smell it now. I like gag a little. I'm like, "Ugh."
Do we still have that light up?
I assume so. Because otherwise some people wouldn't be able to see.
Yes. So Casey kind of, is it like a deep dark pit, essentially.
If you can't see, it would be. But it's only, you've dark vision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, peering off the side, you can see the bottom, and there's something down there, shapes. Not moving.
AC snaps his fingers, and a ball of flame erupts in his hand, and he just kind of tosses it down into the pit.
Falls down there and sparks as it hit the bottom, and a piece of some kind of putrid cloth ignites on fire and reveals what seems to be bones and remains, strange skulls, large rib cages of creatures that are be vaguely humanoid. That's almost a complete skeleton, but here, is it those dragonborn lizard folk? No, something else. Neither of those. Something reptilian.
Do they look like Luna?
You've not seen her skeleton, so
Well, don't make assumptions here.
I mean, you did candle her egg.
That's true.
Is that what they're calling it now?
You'd have to be a little closer down there to. But from here you can see vaguely humanoid, pretty tall, taller than Ava, taller than Casey, about almost as tall as Sal.
Ooh.
So there's a pillar in here. There's the pit. Is there anything else in this room?
Yeah, you can go beyond the pillar and go farther down.
Maybe I should go ahead invisibly. And I can make one of you invisible with me. We could both look. Very quietly, though.
You can do it without the ring now.
I could do a little bit of both.
I knew it.
Maybe you and me, Araya, then?
Are you quiet? I just know you're strong.
I'd have to leave behind this. I think it gets in the way. And she puts the cleaver down.
You just like comically unpacks so many weapons.
I think the rest of it is probably fine, but I guess maybe, yeah, that's really the main thing, I think. And then maybe a few of the tools and stuff. And then she'll step forward and should we hold hands if I guess we're invisible?
Well,
So we
it's
don't lose each other?
well, no, let's make a plan. I intend to go along this wall and then over there, and then I'll come back when I reach that point, and she points to some place, and then I'll come back. I can't hear anything when I'm in it, and it's a different... Well, it works differently for me to cast it on you than for me to cast it on me.
But you can still talk to Casey, can't you?
Can I hear a mind thingy?
You've never tried?
I really haven't the faintest idea, to be honest. It's not real sound.
So why... I'm still not seeing why we wouldn't be holding hands so that we could go together.
I don't mind holding hands. I just figured we could cover more ground.
How much ground is there to cover?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Let's hope I can hear and be heard while I'm using the ring. First you, and she casts... Hold on, I'm going to pull it up. She's casting this and onto a target, you, and hopefully nothing wrecks my concentration, but we can get a lot of time out of that, so... But when she does cast it on you, it's not like shimmering into darkness, like when she uses her ring, there's kind of like a reflection of light, and any light that touches you sort of like melts you away into the background of the cavern around you. So it's just like a shimmer, and then she turns the ring on her hand kind of a little bit wistfully and allows the shadows to absorb her and reaches for your hand where it had once just been.
Can you hear me, Casey?
You hear?
Say something.
You turned her invisible without using the ring. You could do it without the ring.
Oh wait, can I hear him? Because I can't hear anything else.
Yes, you can hear.
She sort of gives like a happy, reassuring squeeze to your hand.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
squeezes back.
Well done. Let us know what you find.
With the utmost caution, edging past the pillar and into the area with a pit of death.
The pit and the pillar are in different directions. Which one do you want to go to?
I'll let you choose. Shaw.
We were at the pit, right? Because
We
Casey
had
was
been,
looking
yeah.
down into it.
You're very close to it.
So I guess we'll go to the pillar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two of you move away from the others, moving down the slant. And you get to the place. You get near the center of the room. There, now that you're closer, you can see that the obelisk that is constructed is fixed into the stone that's slanted. It's oriented to be directly up and down, as though built after this building had collapsed and shifted to the way it is now. Looking at it here in close inspection, it's not simply an obelisk, but it seems to be a shrine. And upright, oriented to your view now, you see again the symbol, carvings, crude, all throughout it. Much easier to make out now.
I have an inkling of what this is used for. Can I examine the base of the pillar for any sorts of, like, wear and tear?
Potentially. Looking closer, what, for Shalati and Araya, now that you're close enough, what languages do you read?
Celestial.
I read Abyssal and Giant.
Oh, we're gonna need to get Sal over here, huh?
Yeah, so neither of you can make out what the carvings are, but Araya, you again, the symbol that you'd seen before upside down in that larger wall up in the chamber above, you see it here, but freshly carved in the shrine. As you kneel down to look at the base of it, you said you were looking for
Like
signs
sort of
wear.
like wear or damage, like, yeah, something that's like this was purposefully made and something that is damaging the purpose of it, if that makes sense. She is curious if this is used for sacrifice at all.
Roll religion or investigation, your choice.
I am going to use another point for my religion. I really just, like, I want to know, because this matters. Oh, much better. Wow, I'm burning through those points this session.
That's okay. Yeah, you looking close, you see that there are scorch marks near the base and stains but no damage.
Scorch marks seem to strike me as the thing that I might have read previously.
Potentially.
See, I think I know. I mean, I think I know. I'm not sure. But this, I can't make out the words. It's not in Celestial, and it probably would never be in Celestial based on the scorch marks at the bottom here, but,
She sort of like squeezes Shalati's hand and kind of like nudges it towards the obelisk. And if Shalati sort of like shakes her hand, maybe.
She says, I into basically like kind of tries to figure out where Araya's ear is and bends over to whisper.
Can't hear anything.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think
She
she has
did
always
say.
forgotten that though.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah. I can't read it, but do you have any paper or something? I saw Salvador do like a rubbing of one of these other things, so maybe we can bring it back for someone else. The buzz, 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 buzz. And feels nothing, hears nothing except other like the movement toward. And then
Just gesturing towards it. I wonder if Araya would think of grabbing her book and like doing a rubbing. She honestly is gonna ask Casey to maybe have. We're gonna check up a little bit further, and if it's all clear, have Sal take a closer look.
She mentioned about the script and stuff.
Yeah, there's writing I can't read.
We'll just say in character what you say so that we know.
There's runes or writing that doesn't. It seems different than before. It's not clearly Dwarven. I can't read it. It's not Celestial. Maybe Sal would know. We can go forward and see if the coast is clear, and he can come up behind us in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let us know. We can come up there.
Shalati, in the meantime, having gotten nothing back from Rhea in the way of a response, I guess probably belatedly remembers that she can't hear, and so we'll just then lean down and try to look around base, like where she was being tugged, to see if there's anything that she can figure out from the blood stains and the patterns and the tracks that may be around here.
Sure, roll survival. Yeah, you find a chunk of burned flesh, but it's still pliable enough that you would guess within the past 2 weeks. Sure.
She holds it up, wobbles it, tucks it away into a belt pouch with a bit of a grimace. And then I think, not knowing what else to do, she waits around for a bit to see if Araya does anything.
Araya will tug you further along just to scout up ahead and maybe down more of the cavern. And if it is clear, call back to Casey to let Sal take a look at the obelisk.
Okay, she'll creep along behind.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
The two of them creep forward, and Casey, do you say anything to anyone?
Yeah, I think during this time, Casey's been periodically snapping and dropping a new fireball down into the pit. And he'll, after the messages from there, he'll message to Sal. They're gonna want us to come up. They need you to read something on the pillar over there. But should be just a moment. And he'll say back to Araya, "Are you guys ready for us? This pit's not smelling any better."
Is the coast clear?
The obelisk is clear. You two have moved forward beyond that.
It's probably safe. I don't see anything yet beyond it.
It's good enough for me. And he says to Sal and Pete, let's go up there. Maybe something you can read, huh, Sal?
Maybe. I want to see it regardless.
And yeah, we'll move that way.
The two of you move deeper into the room, knowing that your friends have cleared the way up before you. You ascend the pieces of stone that have been gathered to form a dais at the middle of the room, and at the center, a obelisk of metal, iron, different from the stone around. Getting close, based on things you've studied before, Sal, you can tell someone took hammer and chisel to this obelisk of iron with care and reverence, shaped the glyphs that decorate its face. What languages do you read?
Dwarvish, giant, deep speech.
I read Primordial, Draconic, and that's all.
Salinger, you carefully study this, all of your years of delving into the stories of ancient things. This doesn't look like any of it. But Casey, you realize these glyphs on this obelisk are a combination of primordial, ignan, and draconic.
What does it say?
It's a series of mostly seems to be an ancient, well, you're not sure it's ancient, it's a strange dialect. And you're able to pick out specific words. If you had to guess, the vast majority of it here are prayers, but the central set of glyphs, it's that one particular word, most prominent on the facade. World Forge. Shalati and Rhea, as you begin to round the corner up ahead, you can see a glow of a warm light.
She squeezes your hand for a moment before tentatively pulling you forward. And if
think
there's no
Shalati-
resistance.
Yeah, Charlotte's going to squeeze back and is going to try and move to put herself forward in front of Araya so that she's leading the glow.
As the two of you creep forward, Casey, as you look at the pillar, your mind race and try to make sense of what you see there.
Casey.
Go ahead.
Casey will say to Salinger, it says World Forge. Never heard of it. Yes, sir.
I'm assuming I haven't ever heard of that either.
No. Araya and Shalati, as the two of you begin to round the corner, you can see the glow of firelight smeared against the near wall. And you start to hear, not only feel it in the stone, but hear it with your ears. The sounds of impact. But it's not the sound of large foot. The sound of metal striking metal. Heavy, huge impacts. Casey, as your eyes fly over the obelisk, that's kind of like that symbol. You make out the main segment of the prayer that lines the obelisk beneath the glyph of the World Forge. And you pick out the phrase, "The world must be remade." And Shalati and Araya, as you peek just around the corner, you see, just glimpsing into a chamber, magma's flowing from a break in the ceiling, illuminating the entire inside of a room. There are pillars. There's a large pool where the magma is pooling. More small rivers of it flow off the sides into drains that seem to go deeper into the earth. But in front of it, among the heat that's beginning to move through that chamber, you see the silhouette of a creature, 12 feet tall, enormous, humanoid. Its skin almost seems to be made of iron ore, but there's something reptilian about its shape, as though you're looking at an enormous dragonborn made of iron ore. And that's where we'll end for tonight.
Super fucking cool.
Nice. Ray and Shalata come back and are like, it's fine, you know. I think we'll be cool. We could just leave this here.
Panic squeezing. Like a stressed ball. Oh, I can't wait to share with Kaveth or the rest of you some of the religious stuff that I've learned. That is immediately useful. Oh, shit.
I love the semi-French 17th century, 18th century ribbons.
She's bedecked. I had to make Pretty Egg Girl
Had to
the
get full
prettiest
Marie
egg girl.
Antoinette.
She's all ribbons and
Oh.
she's teal, pink, and purple, right? Like I remember those colors.
Does she have a ribbon around her neck as well that keeps her head
Well-
from falling off?
Hey, I mean, yes. I put bows everywhere. Feathers, feet, butt, neck, arms, shoulders.
My player knowledge is too much for this situation.
Yeah?
Oh no.
Tell me, don't tell me. Tell me.
No, only thing I'll say is the meme that I posted.
Well, we're trying to eliminate threats.
Well,
Or
I mean, if
being
we look at
down.
ourselves as threats, maybe that would work. Like if we're looking in a mirror.
We're certainly a threat to their agenda to reshape the world through
Yeah, that's
some
true.
sacrificial cult pit.
It was super sacrificial cult stuff. At least if it's what I think, which I think it is what I think. But yeah,
I mean, the pit of bones. I mean, that was humorous, and femurs, and skulls.
and Ferris. I'm stoked, but I am like panic squeezing Shalati's hand to retreat.
Something like, sneak attack! No, I don't think so. But it is time for me now to go to sleep.
Sleep
sleep
before the
attack.
sun comes up.
Yep. Yep. No.